Chapter 298. The Tragic City Lord of Guangjin. Could it be that revered elder, he wasn't killed by the divine land city, but by that young man? When he thought of this, Yuan Yibo's body trembled violently. How could someone who had just broken through to the Earth Core realm kill a Heavenly Core warrior who was 3 levels higher than him? But this wasn't the time to think about this. He had to run for his life. But right at this moment, another scream sounded out. It was the last Heavenly Core warrior from Guangjin City. He had died. Right now, there were only 2 initial Heavenly Core warriors left in Guangjin City, but none of them had just broken through to the Heavenly Core realm. After all, young Master Yangling seemed to be in trouble as well. But the screams didn't stop. While Yuan Yibo was running for his life, the rest of the men were all killed by the same man. This man was Yixian. All the small fries have been killed. Now it's your turn, old man. Yixian, who was secretly following Yuan Yibo in the forest, said with his eyes glowing. Xianxia, come and help me. Yuan Yibo shouted out loudly. But Xianxia had disappeared without a trace. He didn't care about Yuan Yibo at all. Yuan Yibo was so angry that his face turned pale. What he was going to face next was a huge problem. He was being chased by men from the Divine Land City, and in front of him was a green source giant at the early Heavenly Core realm. Not only that, there was also a mysterious man staring at him. Although there was still a direction for him to run in, that direction was extremely dangerous. That was a group of dark beasts that hadn't been killed yet. If he just ran in recklessly, he would be doomed. Therefore, Yuan Yibo waved his hand and summoned the golden-armored eagle down from the sky. Although this golden-armored eagle wasn't as strong as the soaring cloudbird in the Divine Land City, it was still a late Earth Core warrior. If he could ride on it, he might be able to return to Guangjin City. But when the golden-armored eagle was about 400 to 500 meters away from the ground, a series of arrows suddenly shot into the sky and pierced through its head. Looking at his mount falling down from the sky, Yuan Yibo couldn't help but curse out loud. Damn it! He knew that this must be Yixian's work. It looked like he only had one method, and that was to charge into the group of dark beasts and use these green source giants to obstruct the path of Xianxia and the others. Xianxia and the others also understood his intentions and hurriedly changed directions, wanting to stop him. But no matter what, Yuan Yibo was still a mid-Heavenly Core warrior. Besides Xianxia, who else here could match his speed? No, there was one more person. Yixian. You want to run? Stay here. Yixian suddenly rushed out and swung his 8 Desolations greatsword. In an instant, he cut down more than 10 trees and slashed at Yuan Yibo. Yuan Yibo had already expected Yixian to make a move, so he hurriedly blocked the attack with his broadsword. However, he would never have expected that there would be a formation beneath his feet at that moment. Echo array. Buzz. The great desolate sword instantly exploded, and the loud sound reverberated throughout the entire echo array, continuously stimulating Yuan Yibo's mind, making him dizzy for a full second. 1 second, although it didn't seem to be long, for a warrior at his level, 1 second was enough for him to fight a few rounds of attacks. This second allowed Yixian to form another 8 Desolations greatsword. Buzz! The second 8 Desolations greatsword immediately exploded, and the sound once again entered Yuan Yibo's ears. This time, the effect wasn't as good. It only made him dizzy for 0.5 seconds. But Yixian had achieved his goal, this 0.5 second delay allowed Xianxia to catch up to him. Not good. After Yuan Yibo woke up, he cursed in his mind. He immediately unleashed a huge slash towards Yixian and arrived in front of Yixian in an instant. 8 Desolations shield. Yixian hastily unsheathed the 8 Desolations sword and blocked it in front of him. Bang! The huge slash collided with the 8 Wasteland shield, instantly reducing the impact by a large amount. However, the 8 Wastelands wind-killing array wasn't enough to block this slash, so Yixian also punched the back of the 8 Wasteland shield and forcefully withstood it. How is this possible? He blocked it. Yuan Yibo was shocked. His blade strike was his best high-ranked martial skill, and it was more than enough to instantly kill a heavenly core warrior. But Yixian was just an earth core warrior. Yuan Yibo died. Zheng Shuahai caught up to Yuan Yibo and thrust his sword forward. The sword beam flashed past like lightning, but it didn't hit Yuan Yibo. It only grazed his shoulder. "You old fool, I'll kill you." Yuan Yibo knew he couldn't escape, so he immediately turned around and charged towards Yixian. In an instant, both men engaged in a fierce battle. "Leave this old fox to me. You guys go and stop that green source giant." Zheng Shuahai shouted at Zheng Yu, who had just arrived. "Yes, father." Zheng Yu nodded his head. Then he immediately led a few men to stop the green source giant. As for Yixian, he disappeared again and hid in the woods. He was looking for a chance to kill Yuan Yibo, because he didn't know when old Xia would come back. If old Xia came back, perhaps they would have to fight a battle to the death. Although both men were conserving their strength, they had used up a lot of their core energies. Now, Yuan Yibo and Zheng Shuahai were fighting to the death, and they were both using high-ranked Earth Realm martial skills, so their core energies were quickly being depleted. Yixian was waiting for Yuan Yibo's core energies to run out. That way, Yuan Yibo's threat would be greatly reduced, and he would be able to strike suddenly and kill Yuan Yibo. Of course, before that, he could help Zheng Shuahai distract Yuan Yibo. Who knows? He might be able to get a surprise. Chain of 7 stars. Chain of 7 stars. Chain of 7 stars. Arrows kept shooting towards Yuan Yibo. Although Yuan Yibo was guarding against Yixian, these attacks were extremely fast. Combined with the fact that Zheng Shuahai was a nascent heavenly core warrior, there was no way he could dodge all of these arrows. Just the first round of attacks had hit his calf, causing it to bleed profusely, and his ability to move was greatly reduced. While fighting to the death, Yuan Yibo couldn't find the time to take any healing pills. Because of that, his wounds kept bleeding, and every step he took left behind a bloody footprint. A single wound wasn't a big deal, but Yixian was attacking like a mad dog. Yuan Yibo couldn't defend himself against so many attacks, and soon his body was covered in blood. No matter if it was his core energies or his physical strength, both had been greatly depleted. It's about time. Yixian focused his mind, and once again formed the 8 Desolation Greatsword. This time, he used the Greatsword to attack. Bang! 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 Zheng Shuahai kept attacking, and Yuan Yibo was forced to retreat again and again. But now, Yixian was blocking Yuan Yibo's path of retreat with his greatsword. Soon, Yuan Yibo was at the end of his strength. Most of the core energies in his body had been used up by his movement skill. Not good. Yuan Yibo's heart sank. Right now, he could only use 2 more high-ranked Earth Realm martial skills. He was filled with hatred. If he had fought with the Divine Land City from the beginning, perhaps the result would have been different. Chapter 299. Poison? Stinking brat. Even if I, Yuan Yibo, die, I'll drag you down with me. Yuan Yibo suddenly shouted. He used the last of his Jin Dan essence to execute a movement technique and rushed toward Yixian. His resentment toward Yixian was much greater than Zheng Shuahai's. This time, it could be said that he had lost to Yixian. Die, brat! Yuan Yibo shouted and slashed down with his broadsword. But before that, Yixian had already formed the Octotera shield above his head and supported it with his left hand. Clang! The high-grade, Earth-level broadsword slammed into the Octotera shield. Yuan Yibo's physique was slightly weaker than Yixian's, so the broadsword was useless. However, Yuan Yibo's killing move was yet to come. Whoosh! Yuan Yibo suddenly pulled out a small knife from the hilt and flung it out, stabbing Yixian in the shoulder. What? Yixian was also stunned. He punched out angrily and sent Yuan Yibo flying. Ding! The host is immune to the poison. When Yuan Yibo pulled out the knife, Yixian thought that he was going to shoot his head, but Yuan Yibo didn't. He just flung it casually. He definitely didn't expect that Yixian was immune to all poisons. Ha ha! You've been poisoned with the muscle-severing powder. In one day, your meridians will break and you'll die. Brat, do you feel that your meridians are starting to break? Yuan Yibo, who was sent flying, laughed loudly. But Yi Xian couldn't be bothered with him. He pulled out his high-grade, earth-level longbow and shot an arrow. 7 stars chain. 7 arrows were shot in succession. All 7 arrows hit their mark. One of them even pierced through Yuan Yibao's heart. Plop! Yuan Yibao's body fell to the ground. Zheng Shuahai also let out a sigh of relief. Guangjin City's city lord Yuan Yibo was finally dead. I didn't expect little brother Yi to be so secretive. If it weren't for you this time, I'm afraid the consequences would be unimaginable, Zheng Shuahai said, then said again, little brother Yi, hurry up and cure the poison. That day, Senior, don't worry. I've already taken an antidote beforehand. In addition, the biggest contribution this time is Senior Gui. I'm just helping you from the side. Yi Xian said modestly. This was the truth. If he were to face Yuan Yibo alone, he would definitely be beaten until half of his body was paralyzed or even impotent. Yuan Yibo is only the city lord of the lower 3 cities. It's one thing for him to die, but that young master Yangling can't die. Could it be that you killed him as well? Zheng Shuahai frowned as he asked. Yi Xian paused in his heart and said, could it be that young master Yangling is the junior city governor of Yangling? That's right. Yangling City is ranked 4th in the Central Province, one of the upper 3 cities. The city governor is a late Heavenly Core warrior. If you killed him, you would be in big trouble. Zheng Shuahai said. Late Heavenly Core warrior, Yi Xian murmured. Late Heavenly Core realm. If he broke through again, he would be able to break through to the strength realm of the spirit realm. At that time, his physique would be greatly improved, and he would be comparable to an adult wyvern. But the late Heavenly Core realm was still within the Divine Core realm. Yi Xian felt that if he broke through 1 or 2 more realms, he would be able to fight with the city governor. I know that young Master Yangling is the junior city governor of Yangling City. That's why I let him go. Yi Xian shook his head. He was only at the early Earth Core realm. What if the mayor came for him? What if he was attacked by the mayor? That's good. Zheng Shuahai nodded his head. After that, he walked in front of Yuan Yibo's corpse and took out the storage ring. That old fox Yuan Yibo is the greediest man in the lower 3 cities, but at the same time, he is also the richest. I'm sure there are a lot of good things in his storage ring, but if it wasn't for little brother Yi, I wouldn't have been able to kill him, and I would have died a horrible death. Therefore, this storage ring should be yours. Zheng Shuahai threw the storage ring to Yi Xian. Yi Xian's eyes lit up. He didn't expect Zheng Shuahai to be so generous. Yuan Yibo was the city governor of Guangjin City, and he had to collect taxes from all the big cities under his control every year. When Yi Xian touched the storage ring, he immediately immersed his divine sense into the storage ring. In the next moment, he was stunned. Oh my God, this Yuan Yibo is the same as that young Master Yangling. They are both filthy rich. Yi Xian cried out in his mind. In the storage ring, he saw a mountain of crystals, all of which were supreme-grade crystals. 10 million, a total of 10 million supreme-grade crystals. This was equivalent to 1,000 Devourer crystals. Just now, Yi Xian killed young Master Yangling and seized his storage ring. He had already devoured the items in the ring, which were worth about 10 million supreme-grade crystals. Now, however, he had obtained another interspatial ring with great value. He was overjoyed. Immediately, he devoured more than half of the items in the storage ring, and the number of Devourer crystals reached 3,500. In the end, what was left in the Devourer space were materials for forging and refining elixirs, as well as some inner cores of dark beasts. There's still many martial arts. I'll collect them all and pass them on to others. Then I'll dispose of them. Yi Xian seemed to see a trade route. Little brother Yi, come back to your senses and clear the rest of the dark beasts, Zheng Shuahai shouted. Yi Xian came back to his senses. Then he exchanged for some recovery pills and threw them over to Zheng Shuahai. Senior, distribute these pills. They can greatly increase the efficiency of our work. Zheng Shuahai received the jade bottle with a dubious expression. He opened the bottle and immediately smelled a refreshing fragrance. He tried consuming one of the pills, and he immediately recovered 20% of his core energy. These are all concocted by me. Just one pill is enough to fully restore my core energy. I still have a lot of them. Yixian threw a few more bottles over. Each bottle contained 10 pills, which was equivalent to 10 Devourer crystals. Now that he was rich, he naturally had to take care of his teammates. Besides, he might need Zheng Shuahai's help later. Without hesitation, Zheng Shuahai quickly returned to the storage ring and distributed the pills to the others. Yixian followed behind him. After that, the group of men started attacking the green source giant with a group of attacks. Zheng Shuahai was the one who attracted the attention of the green source giant, while the rest of the men were attacking the green source giant's Dantian. Every single human had a high-ranked earthly item. That was why they were able to fight dark beasts who were at a higher cultivation level than them. So this was a group attack. In less than half a minute, the green source giant fell to the ground with a loud bang. It's finally dead. Everyone let out a sigh of relief, as if a heavy burden had been lifted from their shoulders. Right at this moment, Zheng Shuahai suddenly said, "Little brother Yi, can you give me this dark beast's inner core? I can pay you 2 million high-ranked crystal stones." All right, Yixian immediately agreed. Chapter 300. Another breakthrough. Zheng Shuahai was very generous. He took out 2 million high-grade crystal stones and completed the transaction. Yixian once again swallowed the high-grade crystal stones, increasing his strength once again. At this moment, the sound of footsteps suddenly entered everyone's ears. All the people from Divine Land City had gathered here, including Zhou Yin and the other three. Then who could it be? In the next moment, they knew that it was Elder Xie. His appearance made everyone's nerves tense up again. The old man walked out from the forest and asked in surprise, "You killed Yuan Yibo?" Zheng Shuahai walked to the front of the crowd and cupped his fists. "However, that Yuan Yibo died in our hands." Elder Xie narrowed his eyes and paused for a moment. "Do you know who I am?" "I know. Xie Hui from the Sun Hill City Lord's mansion, the right-hand man of the Sun Hill City Lord." Zheng Shuahai nodded. "It's good that you know." Xie Hui paused for a moment, then said, "Just now, who ambushed my young master?" Hearing this question, Yixian's heart couldn't help but tremble. At this moment, Zheng Shuahai said, "Just now, all of us were gathered together. It's impossible to ambush young Master Yangling from so far away." Although he knew that the one who ambushed young Master Yangling was Yixian, in order to avoid unnecessary trouble, it was better to hide it. Xie Hui's eyes widened and fell on Yixian. He felt that he had never seen Yixian before, then said, "Then what about this kid?" Before he finished speaking, Yixian suddenly released a burst of Dan essence. Small success Earth Core stage? Xie Hui instantly sensed it. Small success Earth Core stage. Even if it was a sneak attack on young Master Yangling, it would be impossible to succeed. This kid is only a small success Earth Core stage. Young Master can crush him with one hand. It seems that there are some other people secretly acting and ambushing young Master. Xie Hui thought for a moment, then said, "I have already sent the news back to Sun Hill City. Our city lord will definitely be interested in this green source giant, so I hope that you can wait for the city lord to arrive." Wait for the city lord to arrive? What kind of joke is this? "Your Excellency, I'm sorry, but I can't agree." Zheng Shuahai refused without thinking. If he could get his hands on this profound heavenly core, he might be able to break through to the profound heavenly core realm. It was impossible for him to give this core away. "You dare to refuse?" Xie Hui glared at him. "Humph." Zheng Shuahai snorted coldly and said, "If the Yangling City Lord came, I would be somewhat fearful. However, you are merely his dog. You alone want me to give up this green source giant? Dog, you're courting death." A powerful Dan essence suddenly gushed out of Xie Hui's body. He was the second in command of Yangling City. How could he be humiliated like this? However, he was weak now. If he fought head-on, he would definitely be at a disadvantage. What a joke. Although the Central State is not a country, there are rules set by the first city lord. The city lords of the upper three cities are not allowed to make a move against the people of the lower three cities if there is no enmity between them. Even if the city lord of Sun Ascent comes personally, I am not afraid. Xiaohui said loudly. Of course, Xiaohui knew about this rule. Right now, even if the city lord of Sun Ascent was here, he wouldn't dare to make a move against Xianxia. If he did, he would immediately be killed by the first city lord. The first city lord was the overlord of the central state, the overlord of the entire heavenly water continent. He wouldn't dare go against the first city lord. Perhaps other people didn't know about this, but someone like Xiaohui knew that the first city lord was actually the pavilion master of the myriad pavilion. He was omniscient and omnipotent. Good, very good. I will personally report this to the city lord. I hope your attitude will still be as tough when the time comes. Farewell. Xiaohui knew that if he continued to stay here, he wouldn't be able to do anything. Therefore, he left immediately. Looking at his back as he left, Yi Xian and Zheng Shuohai looked at each other and let out a sigh of relief. The city lords of the upper three cities were not allowed to make a move against the people of the lower three cities. However, Yi Xian was not from the central state. Besides, if the city lord of Sun Ascent found out that Yi Xian had ambushed young Master Yongling and caused him to go missing, he would definitely come here personally. Therefore, Zheng Shuohai gathered everyone together and secretly gave them a few words of advice. After that, they took a short break before they continued hunting. Right now, Yi Xian's strength had been recognized, and he was quite wealthy. He no longer needed the 10% of inner cores from the Xian beasts. Therefore, each of them killed their own inner cores and kept the inner cores for themselves. After a few hours of killing, all the green giants around the Heavenly Yuan sect were finally cleared out. But what shocked everyone in the Divine Land City was that even with so many people, their efficiency was still lower than Yi Xian and his group. After that, Yi Xian started counting the inner cores from the Xian beasts. He got 1 inner core from a mid-heavenly core warrior, 40 inner cores from a mid-heavenly core warrior, 200 inner cores from a mid-heavenly core warrior, 600 inner cores from a mid-heavenly core warrior, 1,500 inner cores from a mid-heavenly core warrior. And as for the remaining 3,000 inner cores from a mortal core warrior, they were all from a mortal core warrior. This number also shocked everyone. With all these inner cores, the soaring heaven mansion could become a force that was even stronger than the Guangjin city. Don't forget, the Guangjin city was a city. Aside from the mayor's mansion, there were other families. As for the soaring heaven mansion, it was a sect. However, all of these were killed by Yi Xian alone. If Zhou Yan and the other 3 were included, the number would be even greater. These thousands of green giants, just their corpses alone, almost helped Yi Xian break through again. After that, Yi Xian devoured some more things. Ding! The host has broken through to the mid-heavenly core realm. In just one battle, he had broken through twice. Even he didn't expect this. Right at this moment, the people from the Divine Land City had gathered together with the people from the soaring heaven mansion. They were recovering and discussing at the same time. Now that all those small green giants have been cleared out, what we need to do next is to deal with that green giant. Zheng Shuohai, who was the strongest among them, said, "Grandfather, why did that green giant just sit there and watch us clear out those small green giants? Why didn't it do anything?" Zheng Miao asked curiously. Hearing this, Zheng Shuohai shook his head and said, "I'm not sure either. Perhaps it's quietly absorbing that celestial green rock. Father, it has devoured the celestial green rock. Its strength might be stronger than an ordinary mid-heavenly core warrior. Can we really kill it?" Zheng Yu asked doubtfully. "We'll only know after we try. Don't tell me we should just give up and give it to the mayor?" Zheng Shuohai asked. Chapter 301. Target Green Source Giant. A Strength Realm warrior could easily deal with 100 late Heavenly Core warriors. If he could break through to the Strength Realm, he might be able to dominate the entire Heavenly Water Continent. Let's give it a try first. This Green Source Giant is a bit strange. Let's take a look first. If it doesn't work, we'll discuss it with the mayor. Zheng Shuohai said. Everyone nodded their heads. Then they went back to their own rooms. As for Yi Xian, he brought Zhou Yin and Lin Shi to the side. Supreme Elder, you guys don't have to participate this time. Just take these inner cores and go back. Yi Xian took out a storage ring. Zhou Yin checked it, and he was almost scared to death. These inner cores, you want to give them all to the soaring heaven mansion? Of course it's not free. Supreme Elder, you know what I mean. Yi Xian raised his eyebrows in a wretched manner. You little bastard, name a price. Zhou Yin scolded angrily. Yi Xian had actually set a price a long time ago. If he swallowed the inner cores directly, the value would be too low. If he took them out, he could get double or triple the price. He still had a nascent heavenly core inner core, and that was worth a lot of money. Supreme Elder, how many crystal stones do you have? Yi Xian asked in a low voice. This, when you gave us a total of 100 million high-ranked crystal stones. Zhou Yin replied in a low voice as well. 10,000. Yi Xian was shocked as well. Young Master Yongling's storage ring only had a value of 10 million high-ranked crystal stones, and the mayor of Guangjin City had a value of 15 million high-ranked crystal stones. However, Zhou Yin's storage ring had 100 million high-ranked crystal stones. This was more than all the mayor's mansions in the Zhong province combined. With so many high-ranked crystal stones, wasn't Zhou Yin worried that he would suddenly die and let others take advantage of him? Supreme Elder, how many do you have? Yi Xian asked again. 80 million, you little brat, with so many high-ranked crystal stones. If word got out, the soaring heaven mansion would definitely be destroyed. What are you going to do with them? Zhou Yin asked in a low voice. 80 million. All right, 80 million it is. I'll take all of these inner cores. There are also a few tens of thousands of refined inner cores. Yi Xian giggled and said, Grand Elder, I'll tell you the truth. I'm cultivating a special skill, and I need to rely on crystal stones to increase my cultivation. How else do you think I was able to break through to the profound Earth Core realm? What? You've already broken through to the profound Earth Core realm? Lin Shi carefully sensed it, but he couldn't find anything. Yi Xian put away the concealment pearl on his body. This time, Lin Shi and Zhou Yin could feel that he was indeed at the profound Earth Core realm. This technique is very special. I've already spent countless crystals to break through to this point, Yi Xian said slowly. Although he couldn't tell anyone about the devouring system, he could fabricate an excuse for himself. Then, can you? Zhou Yin asked. Yi Xian shook his head. No, I still need a lot more. Although I can't break through, I can still increase my strength by a lot. Zhou Yin and Lin Shi were so shocked that they wanted to prostrate themselves on the ground. They looked at each other, and in the end, they each took out 40 million crystal stones. A total of 80 million crystal stones. Grand Elder, take these inner cores and return to the soaring heaven mansion. After the transaction, Yi Xian said, All right, be careful. Zhou Yin nodded his head. Both of them were much weaker than Zheng Yu, who was at the same cultivation level. They might not be of much use here. All right, Sui Jing and the others. Yi Xian suddenly said. Zhou Yin shook his head. No. When we came out, both of them were still in that state. Furthermore, they have already broken through to the profound Earth Core realm. Don't worry. When Yu is watching over them, nothing will happen to them. Profound Earth Core realm, huh? Yi Xian laughed at himself. He had spent so much to break through to the profound Earth Core realm, but Song Sui Jing and Judge Song had broken through from the initial Mortal Core realm to the profound Earth Core realm. This was a huge blow to his heart. But Song Sui Jing was his fiancé, and Judge Song was his brother-in-law. The faster both of them improved, the happier he would be. Looks like I might be able to break through to the heavenly core realm. I can't fall behind. Yi Xian suddenly felt a surge of energy in his heart. He couldn't be defeated by his fiancée. In the end, Mo Ziyun and Yi Tianlang decided to leave as well. After that, they brought Lin Shui, and Zhou Yin back to the soaring heaven mansion. What Yi Xian and his group were going to face next was a profound Earth Core Xian beast, and it had an amazing defensive strength. Therefore, these profound Earth Core warriors could only watch from the side. After all, there was no way they could break through its defense. Little brother Yi, are you ready? Right at this moment, Zhang Shuahai walked over. Yes, we can leave at any time. Yi Xian nodded his head. His recovery speed was amazing, and in terms of physical strength, he didn't need to rest at all. In terms of core essence, he had the pills that were worth some core energy crystals, so he didn't need to rest either. If that's the case, let's go. Zhang Shuahai said in a serious manner. There were only 6 men who were going to challenge the Green Source Giant. Excluding Zhang Shuahai and Yi Xian, there were also 4 other Heavenly Core warriors, Zheng Yu. The 6 of them gathered together and jumped down from the cliff. After that, they started charging towards the Green Source Giant. Soon, they arrived at the old site of the Heavenly Yuan sect, which had been destroyed beyond recognition. I'm afraid this Green Source Giant has a digestive disorder because it swallowed that celestial bluestone. That's why it keeps spewing out smaller giants. Zhang Shuahai looked at the Green Source Giant that was more than 40 meters tall, even though it was sitting on the ground. In fact, Yi Xian was thinking the same thing. The reason why the Green Source Giant didn't move was probably because it was digested. Therefore, this Green Source Giant's mobility was much weaker than before. But they couldn't let their guard down just because of this. After all, this was a profound Earth Core Xian beast. When it gets up, you guys attack its Dantian. I'll attract its attention. Zhang Shuahai said. Yes. Zheng Yu and the rest of the men replied. Yi Xian nodded his head as well. Right now, they were at least 4 to 5 kilometers away from the Green Source Giant. For them, it would only take them a dozen seconds to reach it. The 6 men made some preparations. Then they followed behind Zhang Shuahai and charged towards the Green Source Giant. Yi Xian took out his high-ranked earth weapon bow. When facing a Xian beast like this, a bow was much more useful. Soon after, they arrived in front of the Green Source Giant. Go! Zhang Shuahai shouted out loudly. He instantly increased his speed and arrived at the Green Source Giant's feet. He swung his longsword and unleashed a powerful slash towards the Green Source Giant's feet. Crack! A crisp sound was heard, and the sword beam shattered in an instant. However, the Green Source Giant was unharmed. Zhang Shuahai was shocked. The longsword in his hand was a high-ranked earth weapon, and he was using a high-ranked earth rank martial skill. It was more than enough to slice an ordinary profound earth core Xian beast in half. Chapter 302. A waste of effort at the same time, Yi Xian and the rest of the men had also launched their attacks towards the designated spot. All of their attacks landed on the giant's stomach, but just like Zhang Shuahai, they had no effect. Zheng Yu and the other 3 men were fine. But even Yi Xian's 7-star chain had no effect. He had the bloodline of the venerable archer. It could increase the power of his archery skills by 30%. His attacks were much stronger than Zheng Yu and the others. Oh, whoa. The Green Source Giant suddenly let out a deep roar, scaring all the men. But it didn't move, it just sat there quietly. This Green Source Giant is really strange. It won't move no matter what. I wonder if it's looking down on us, or is it really trying to digest us? Yi Xian thought to himself as he continued attacking the same spot. Zhang Shuahai frowned as well. Then he stepped back. The 6 of them attacked the Green Source Giant's Dantian together, but the giant's defense was too strong. They had been attacking it for half a minute, but nothing happened. This is terrifying. It must be the effect of the celestial greenstone. It has increased its defense by a few levels. Perhaps even a mayor can't break this Green Source Giant's defense. Zhang Shuahai couldn't help but say, Father, what should we do now? Zheng Yu asked. Let's try again. Zhang Shuahai was still unwilling to give up. They attacked for a while more, and after 2 minutes, all the pills were used up. But the Green Source Giant still didn't move. It was still unharmed. Looks like this Green Source Giant is not fated to be with us. Zhang Shuahai had given up. Too bad. Too bad. Even if we can't get the Celestial Greenstone, a Profound Core Beast Inner Core can help Father break through to the Profound Core realm. Zheng Yu shook his head helplessly. Fine, we got so many inner cores this time. It's not bad at all. Zhang Shuahai was easily satisfied. Although the inner cores they got in Divine Land City couldn't be compared to Yi Xian's, wasn't much less. These inner cores were more than enough to increase the overall strength of the mayor's mansion by a few levels. But they were still unwilling to give up. That's why they had to wait here. When the mayor of Yangling arrives, they might be able to do him a favor. Or he could watch a joke. Sure enough, 1 day later, the Yangling city governor arrived on a rock. There were 4 people on top of the rock, including Elder Xia. When Xianxia and the others on the back of the cloud-soaring bird saw this, they said, "Greetings, Yangling City Lord." The Yangling City Lord was a bald man, and his appearance was somewhat similar to that young master Yangling standing on the rock's back. He turned his head and glanced at the green source giant. He snorted and said, "You're overestimating yourselves. Do you think you can get a share of this green source giant?" Elder Xie had already passed the message to him, so he didn't have a good impression of Xianxia and the others. Hee, then this old man will wait and see. Xianxia smiled. Humph, watch. Yangling City Lord coldly snorted and jumped down with the 4 people behind him. These 4 men were all early Heavenly Core warriors. If they joined forces, they could even fight the mayor of Yangling City. In simple terms, they were the same as 2 late Heavenly Core warriors. The 5 men swooped down and soon arrived in front of the green source giant. They stared at it vigilantly. "Let's go." Following the order from the Yangling City Lord, the other 4 men struck at the same time. Bang, bang, bang. Attacks landed on the green source giant's dantian, producing a series of explosive sounds. On the other side, Yi Xian and the other 4 men on top of the cloud-soaring bird were gloating smiles on their faces. It looked like their guess was right. This green source giant's defense had exceeded the level of a Xian beast. Even the Yangling City Lord, who was a late Heavenly Core warrior, couldn't do anything to it. Half a minute later, the Yangling City Lord and the other 4 men stopped attacking. How is this possible? The Yangling City Lord was shocked. The other 4 men were the same. Their attacks could definitely kill a late Heavenly Core Xian beast, but they couldn't even break through the green source giant's defense. This was too fake. Just as I thought, this green source giant has refined the celestial blue rock. Its defense is indestructible. The Yangling City Lord thought to himself, "Lord, what should we do now?" Old Xia asked. "Continue." The Yangling City Lord didn't believe it. With his late Heavenly Core cultivation, he couldn't break through the Xian beast defense. This was a huge loss of face. They continued attacking for a while, but it was still useless. Right now, their core energies were almost depleted. "Damn it, we've wasted our energy," the Yangling City Lord cursed. Right at this moment, a hearty laugh suddenly came from the sky. "Ha, Yangling City Lord, looks like you can't do it either." Without a doubt, the laughter came from the City Lord, Xianxia. "Old man, shut up," the Yangling City Lord cursed. Xianxia continued laughing. "What is it? Are you going to break the rule of being the #1 City Lord and attack me?" "Humph." The Yangling City Lord jumped back onto the rock and asked, "Where did my son go?" "Yangling City Lord, where did your son go? Why are you asking us? When Xiehui was chasing after us, did you think we could sneak attack young Master Yangling from a distance?" Xianxia asked. The Yangling City Lord went silent. Xiehui had told him that Xianxia and the other 4 Heavenly Core warriors were being chased by him and the Guangjin City Lord. They couldn't do anything to young Master Yangling. Therefore, the one who sneaked an attack on young Master Yangling was someone else. Could it be one of the other 2 upper 3 cities? The Yangling City Lord thought to himself, "Yangling City Lord, even you can't break through the green source giant's defense. What are you going to do?" Xianxia asked from 1,000 meters away. "Humph." When the Yangling City Lord heard this, he let out a cold snort and didn't respond. He estimated that even if all the late Heavenly Core warriors in the Central Province were gathered here, the result would be the same. Therefore, in the entire Central Province, only the mysterious City Lord of the #1 City Lord could do this. The City Lord of the #1 City Lord was also the Pavilion Master of the Myriad Pavilion. This man had a mysterious background. No one had ever seen him before. It was rumored that he had stepped into the 4th level of the Spirit Realm. Looks like I can only report this to the #1 City Lord. Perhaps the City Lord will be interested in this. At that time, I will be able to receive some rewards. This was the thought in the Yangling City Lord's mind. However, right at this moment, boom! Suddenly, a loud sound rang out. Everyone present turned their heads to look, only to see that over 60 meters tall green source giant actually stand up. What's going on? It can move? Everyone was shocked. Chapter 303. Why wasn't it here? Quick, back off. Xianxia hastily shouted as he quickly backed off. The mayor of Yangling did the same. He quickly backed off. But they were making a mountain out of a molehill. Perhaps it was because its butt was hurting, so it stood up and moved around. What's going on? It has been sitting there for so long, and this is the first time it has stood up. Something is going to happen. Yixian, who was sitting on the back of the cloud, soaring bird, furrowed his brows as well. He had a feeling that something big was going to happen soon. That's why he reminded Zhang Shuahai to fly further away. Zhang Shuahai also felt that it was better to be careful. After receiving those profound Earth Core warriors, he immediately backed off to a distance of 10,000 meters away. Roar! The green giant let out a deep roar once again. Everyone's nerves tensed up. Indeed, something big was going to happen. Don't tell me it's going to erupt again. Yixian's eyes lit up. Every time this green giant erupted, a huge amount of Xian beasts would appear, and they were all worth a lot of money. But this time he guessed wrong. After the profound, heavenly core green giant let out a few deep roars, its body started trembling violently, as if it was going to erupt like a volcano. I think it's going to erupt again. Let's go down. Yixian reminded everyone. Being on the ground was much safer than being in the air. After all, this cloud-soaring bird had just broken through to the heavenly core realm, so Yixian trusted his own legs. Everyone landed on the ground, then spread out and stood in different positions. They didn't want any accidents to happen if there were too many people. Boom! Indeed, after everyone stood in their positions, the green giant that was 10,000 meters away suddenly exploded. That's right, this time it exploded. The 60-meter tall green giant's body split open, then it shot out into the air. Damn it, self-destruct? Yixian was shocked. Before he could react, countless rocks had been blasted into the sky. Even those who were standing 10,000 meters away would be affected by the explosion. Everyone be careful. Be careful. Zhang Shuahai shouted with a gloomy expression. But at this moment, Yixian rushed out in an instant, running madly towards the green source giant. The green source giant's sudden outburst might have been due to its digestive system. Perhaps it had eaten too much, so there might still be remnants of the celestial blue stone in its body. At the very least, there would be a Xian beast's inner core. Thus, Yixian had to rush there before the Yangling city governor did. I'll swallow the great strength pill. Yixian immediately exchanged for an earth core great strength pill. His strength instantly doubled, and he threw a punch at one of the meteorites in the sky. But in the next moment, he was stunned. The countless meteorites that flew out began to disintegrate in the sky. Then, they turned into countless fist-sized burning stones that fell down, instantly setting the entire forest on fire. Yixian, who was running wildly, was accidentally hit by a rock. The rock immediately embedded itself into his thigh, and the green flames burned him painfully. Bang! Yixian's Dan essence gushed out from his body and sent the stone flying. Damn it, it's so powerful. He didn't dare let his guard down. If this rock hit his head would explode. Without hesitation, he undid the 8 desolate sword and unleashed the 8 desolate wind formation. 8 sharp blades started to fly around crazily, shattering the burning stones into pieces and opening up a 10-meter wide safe zone. However, the consumption of the 8 desolate wind formation was huge. Even Yixian, who was at his peak, could only maintain it for 5 seconds. Therefore, he had no choice but to eat a pill that cost 1 Devourer crystal while running wildly. He estimated that the huge explosion must have brought a huge hindrance to the others. Even the Yangling city governor, who was at the heavenly core realm, would need some time before he could arrive. Half a minute later, Yixian finally arrived at the location where the green source giant was. But before he arrived, he sensed that someone else had arrived before him. Damn it, it must be the Yangling city governor. He got ahead of us. Yixian cursed out in anger. Right now, he still needed another 2 to 3 seconds before he could arrive at his destination. If he dared to come out from the forest, the Yangling city governor would probably attack him directly. When Yixian was at the minor earth core realm, he could already kill a warrior who had just broken through to the heavenly core realm. Now that he had broken through to the heavenly core realm, Killing a normal minor Heavenly Core warrior wasn't a problem for him. But this Yongling's city governor was at the Heavenly Core realm. If he fought him head-on, he would definitely be defeated within 10 rounds. Just as Xian was hesitating whether he should go out or not, he heard the Yongling's city governor shout out, "Why is there nothing?" Nothing? What was there nothing? Was it the celestial blue stone, or the Xian beast's inner core? Yi Xian approached the Yongling city governor with a surprised expression. He noticed that the Yongling city governor was wandering around like a mad dog. High-grade treasures like the celestial blue stone and Xian beast's inner core would emit energy, and any ordinary person would be able to sense it. Yi Xian also had the high-grade treasure-hunting deer bloodline, so he had a strong sense for natural treasures. What's going on? Why is there no reaction from that area? Could it be that the celestial blue stone and Xian beast's inner core have erupted as well? Yi Xian furrowed his brows. Then he turned around and left. He started wandering around the burning forest. He didn't have much hope. After all, the explosion of this green source giant was extremely powerful. Everything within a 10,000-meter radius had been destroyed. For ordinary people, it would be difficult for them to even take a single step forward. Even Yi Xian could barely walk through the forest. If I can find the celestial blue stone, perhaps I can use it to break through to the Heavenly Core realm. At that point of time, I'll be able to travel freely in the entire central province. Yi Xian thought to himself as he ran with all his might. Although the range of his treasure-hunting deer bloodline wasn't big, it was still around 1,000 meters. Things like Xian beast's inner core and the celestial blue stone, he could easily find them. Half a minute passed, but he still couldn't find anything. At the same time, all the trees around him were burned to ashes by the green flames, and his field of vision started to widen. Right at this moment, Yi Xian's eyes lit up. His treasure-hunting deer bloodline had finally reacted, and the reaction was very strong. 12 o'clock, 1,000 meters. He ran with all his might, and it only took him 2 to 3 seconds to cover a distance of 1,000 meters. 200 meters, 100 meters, 60 meters, 20 meters, 10 meters. 2 seconds later, Yi Xian finally saw what the treasure looked like. It was a green stone, celestial blue stone, a celestial blue stone the size of a baby's fist. Yi Xian couldn't help but laugh out loud in his mind. He immediately ran towards the celestial blue stone and put it away. Then he said in his mind, "Absorb." However, what surprised him was that an unexpected notification sounded out from the system. Ding, absorption failed. What? Absorption failed? Yi Xian was startled. Why couldn't he absorb the celestial blue stone? Chapter 304. Crisis. Yi Xian immersed his mind into the devouring space. He noticed that this celestial blue stone was different from the one he saw before. The celestial blue stone was dark green in color. It was glowing with a faint green light. But this small celestial blue stone was slightly transparent. Could it be that this celestial blue stone has been digested halfway, and I can't devour it anymore? Yi Xian thought to himself. Then he tried again. Ding, devouring failed. Damn it, forget it. Let's find the inner core first. Yi Xian cursed. Then he quickly flew away. He had found a celestial blue stone, but there was still the inner core. If he were to sell it, he would be able to sell it for at least 10 million or even tens of millions of high-grade crystal stones. But after searching for a while, there was no reaction from the treasure-hunting deer's bloodline. Right at this moment, the area within the Heavenly Yuan sect had been burned to the ground, and all the rocks that fell from the sky had turned into ashes. Yi Xian, did you find it? A voice came from afar. Yi Xian turned around. It was the Divine Prefecture Alliance's chief, Xianxia. Yi Xian pretended to helplessly shake his head. Sigh, if I found it, I would have just left. Why would I stay here? Too bad. We didn't find the celestial blue stone or the inner core. Xianxia shook his head. Soon, all the men from the Divine Prefecture city gathered together, and so did the 5 men from the Sun Hill city. These men from the Divine Prefecture city had lost all hope, so they were preparing to leave. But right at this moment, stop right there. A sudden shout caused all of them to tremble. Wasn't this the Sun Hill City Lord's voice? Sun Hill City Lord, what can I do for you? Zheng Shuahai turned around. Hand over your storage rings. The Sun Hill City Lord shouted coldly. What? Everyone on the back of the cloud, soaring bird were startled. Sun Hill City Lord, do you think one of us has found a treasure? Zheng Shuahai squinted his eyes. That's right, all of your storage rings. Hand them over for me to check. The Sun Hill City Lord nodded his head. Chui Linjiang, aren't you going a bit too far? Zheng Shuahai shouted. Chui Linjiang was the real name of the Sun Hill City Lord. Too much. So what if it's too much? Old man, don't talk about the rule of the first City Lord. Do you think that just because I can attack, I can't do anything to you? Chui Linjiang's eyes were cold. Behind him were 4 early Heavenly Core warriors. On the other hand, there was only one person from Divine Land City. Zheng Shuahai's face darkened. Indeed, Sun Hill City was one of the 3 upper cities of the Central State, and they were not allowed to make a move against the City Lord of the Divine Prefecture City of the 3 lower cities. However, in the entire Central State, only 3 people were subject to this restriction. Simply put, the 4 people behind Chui Linjiang could attack. Not good. This Chui Linjiang never thought of letting us go. Zheng Shuahai instantly reacted. Father, what should we do? Zheng Yu frowned. Zheng Shuahai thought quickly in his heart, but he could not think of any other way out. Now, they probably only had one way to go, and that was to obediently hand over the interspatial ring. However, there was no guarantee that Chui Linjiang would not kill them after taking them. After all, behind Zheng Shuahai's back was the Divine Land City. Once Zheng Shuahai was killed, the Divine Land City would become a city without a master. Looks like we have no choice but to die. Zheng Miao, bring the others and leave this place. Zheng Yu, you ride the soaring cloudbird. I'll jump down and lure the other 2 away. Zheng Shuahai said in a low voice. This was their only way out. There was only one Heavenly Core rock from Sun Hill City. As long as Zheng Shuahai jumped down, the Sun Hill City would send at least 2 men to kill him. Chui Linjiang couldn't do it himself. Therefore, there were only 2 early Heavenly Core warriors chasing after the soaring cloudbird. Yi Xian, Zheng Yu, and the other 3 men shouldn't have any problems facing 2 early Heavenly Core warriors. Looks like this is the only way. We'll split into 3 groups. At least we won't be caught in one fell swoop. We'll leave our lives to fate. Zheng Yu said, Little brother Yi, I'm sorry for dragging you into this. Zheng Shuahai said with guilt. Senior, I feel like if we split into 3 groups, there's a fatal flaw. Yi Xian suddenly said. What? Zheng Shuahai was startled. Yi Xian said, the rule set by the first City Lord is that the City Lords of the upper 3 cities are not allowed to attack anyone from the Mayor's Mansion in the lower 3 cities, right? That's right. Zheng Shuahai nodded his head. Can the Sun Hill City Lord attack this soaring cloudbird? Yi Xian said slowly. As soon as these words were spoken, everyone's expression changed. I don't know, but that Chui Linjiang might not have thought of this. Otherwise, he would have already attacked. Zheng Shuahai said with a gloomy expression. Splitting into 3 groups is too dangerous. Yi Xian didn't agree. He shook his head and said, I have a plan. Little brother Yi, please tell us. Zheng Shuahai's eyes lit up. Yi Xian said without hesitation, Senior, the 5 of you will hold off 2 of them. As for the other 2, leave them to me. What? Leave them to you? Zheng Shuahai and the others were shocked. That's right, Senior, you just need to hold off 1 or 2 of them. Or we can go down there and have a bet. Let me kill one of them first, then everything will be simple. Yi Xian nodded his head and said, Little brother Yi, are you kidding me? You want to kill an early Heavenly Core warrior? Zheng Shuahai couldn't believe it. Senior, do you remember? I was only at the early Earth Core realm, but I helped you kill the Guangjin City Lord. Yesterday, I broke through again, and now I'm at the late Earth Core realm. I think with my current strength, I can kill an early Heavenly Core warrior. After saying that, Yi Xian purposely released his core energy and let these people feel it. Sure enough, he was at the late Earth Core realm, just like Zheng Miao. Little brother Yi, are you sure you can do it? Although Yi Xian's strength was shocking, Zheng Shuahai still couldn't believe it. If it's that Xie Hui, I have 80% confidence that I can kill him. Yixian nodded his head and said. Hearing this, Zheng Shuahai's eyes lit up. If that's the case, as long as we can lure him out and have a fair fight, even if Xie Hui dies, that Chui Linjiang won't be able to use this as an excuse to attack us. Yixian nodded his head. The person he was most afraid of right now was that Chui Linjiang. As long as Chui Linjiang didn't attack, then everything would be easy. What he was afraid of was that Chui Linjiang would ignore the rules set by the first city lord. What are you guys whispering about? Are you going to hand it over or not? Chui Linjiang's voice sounded out. Just as Zheng Shuahai was about to speak, Yixian jumped down from the soaring cloudbird and landed on the ground. He said, Xie Hui, in this storage ring of mine, there are more than 10 million high-grade crystal stones worth of natural treasures. Do you dare to come down and fight me? Hearing this, all 5 men on the giant rock were startled. Chapter 305. Killing Xie Hui. It's nothing. It's just a battle of life and death. As long as you kill him, his storage ring will be yours. If you die in his hands, then your interspatial ring will be his, Zheng Shuahai replied. What kind of joke is this? Xie Hui furrowed his brows. He knew that the opponent was planning something. Elder Xie, you go down there and kill that guy, Yangling Mayor suddenly said. All right. Xie Hui nodded his head. Then he jumped down from the rock. Young man, I don't know what you're trying to do, but I know that you'll be killed by my palm strike. Xie Hui stared at Yixian and said. Yixian let out an indifferent smile. He stabbed the Bahuang's sword into the ground with one hand and held an empty storage ring with the other. He said, I'm just looking for death, senior. Please grant me my wish. Fine, I'll grant you your wish. Without saying anything else, Xie Hui immediately dashed towards Yixian. He didn't even take out his weapon. Why would he need a weapon to deal with an Earth Core warrior like Yixian? In just 2 seconds, Xie Hui had crossed 1,000 meters and arrived in front of Yixian. He stared at the dumbstruck Yixian. Then he reached out his claw and grabbed towards Yixian's throat. But right at this moment, Yixian reached out his hand with lightning speed and grabbed Xie Hui's wrist. At the same time, the Bahuang sword on the ground suddenly broke apart and flew towards Xie Hui. What? Xie Hui's eyes lit up. An Earth Core brat was actually able to catch up with his speed and even managed to block his attack. This was impossible. In the next moment, he felt a cold sensation on his neck. His head was thrown into the air, and a stream of blood shot up into the sky. Instant kill. Yixian released a surge of danqi, blocking the blood that was spurting out. Then, he took out Xie Hui's universe ring. With the bloodline of the treasure-hunting deer, he could see through everyone's belongings. All of Xie Hui's belongings should be in this storage ring. Looking at Xie Hui's dead body falling onto the ground, everyone was shocked and speechless. Killing a mid-heavenly core warrior with a single strike, besides Chui Linjiang. Who else could do this? What is that? Everyone focused their eyes and discovered that there were 8 sharp blades floating around Yixian. What kind of martial art is that? How can one use their Jindan essence to control a sharp blade and kill Xie Hui? Everyone was puzzled. However, it was a fact that Yixian had one-shot Xie Hui. Damn it, what's the matter with this kid? Yangling City Lord could not help cursing. He wondered if he would have ended up the same as Xie Hui if he had been there just now. Yixian reassembled the Bahuang sword and shouted, Who else? Mother Fastra's cur, this brat is too arrogant. No matter how he did it, I have to go and find out. A middle-aged man turned his head to look at the Sun Hill City Lord and said, City Lord, let me go. Don't end up like Xie Hui and be killed by that brat. Chui Linjiang nodded his head. He couldn't understand Yixian's technique either. That's why he wanted to see it again. Don't worry, City Lord, I'll definitely kill that brat and avenge Senior Xie. After saying that, the middle-aged man jumped down onto the ground. Seeing this, Yixian's eyes suddenly flashed with killing intent. Another man had come to die. There was a reason why he had one-shot Xie Hui just now. It was because Xie Hui didn't put him in his eyes. If it was someone else who had come, and Yixian had one-shot him, Xia Hui would definitely be surprised and report this to Cui Linjiang. Then, Cui Linjiang would definitely suspect that Yi Xian had one-shot young Master Yangling and kept his body. But now that Xia Hui was dead, he wasn't worried that Cui Linjiang would find out. This way, Cui Linjiang wouldn't have an excuse to kill him. Most importantly, he had secretly set up an echo formation on the ground just now. If this middle-aged man dared to step into this area, he would not be able to escape his fate of being one-shot. Brat, I'm going to break your neck with my own hands and avenge Senior Xia. The middle-aged man shouted and rushed toward Yi Xian. However, he wasn't as stupid as Xia Hui. Instead, he took out his weapon and used a large amount of Jindan to protect it to prevent any accidents from happening. When Yi Xian heard this, he just smiled indifferently. What revenge? He obviously wanted Xia Hui's interspatial ring, right? That old man, Xia Hui's net worth is not bad. He has about 10 million top-grade crystals. I wonder how much you have. Yi Xian stood in place, quietly waiting for the other party to approach. The echo formation had a range of 50 meters. The moment the middle-aged man stepped in, Yi Xian condensed the Great Desolate Sword and swept it toward him. The middle-aged man's weapon was a long blade. He instinctively tried to block the attack, but he immediately felt a huge impact and was sent flying away. Just now, Yi Xian had secretly eaten a great strength pill, and it wasn't something an ordinary person could withstand. If it was Yangling City's governor, Cui Linjiang, he might be able to withstand it, but the middle-aged man in front of him was only at the early heavenly core realm. Bang! When the middle-aged man was sent flying, the 8 Desolation Great Sword also exploded in an instant. The middle-aged man felt his head become heavy, as if his consciousness had fallen into an ice cave. He was frozen, and his mind was slowed down. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Yi Xian disintegrated the Great Desolate Sword. Great Desolate Wind Formation, Heavenly Charge. 8 sharp blades formed into a sharp cone above the middle-aged man's head. Then they suddenly pierced down. Slash! The middle-aged man's chest was cut open, but his corpse was still sent flying away. Yi Xian took a big step forward and took away the storage ring. Plop! The middle-aged man's corpse fell onto the ground, and it instantly fell into a pool of blood. Yi Xian had once again killed a nascent heavenly core warrior. The Yangling City Lord's eyes were wide open. The 4 nascent heavenly core warriors under his command were all very strong, and almost all of them could fight Xianxia. However, with such strength, they couldn't even withstand a single blow from Yi Xian. This was out of his expectation. This guy killed 2 of my generals in a row. I think he was trying to weaken my strength. Right at this moment, the Yangling City Lord finally reacted. But what he couldn't understand was why Yi Xian had such strength. His talent was comparable to Yang Chun, the leader of the 4 young masters of the Zhong province. You too, go and kill him. The Yangling City Lord shouted. Mayor, one of the men turned around in shock. Ding Tao, you're the vice mayor of Yangling City. Although you and I have never become sworn brothers, you and I are like brothers. Do you understand what I mean? The Yangling City Lord squinted his eyes and said. When a man called Ding Tao heard this, his eyes lit up. Big brother, I understand. Those who were able to cultivate to this stage were no idiots. Ding Tao immediately understood Cui Linjiang's intention. Very good, you guys go. Remember, don't get within 100 meters of that guy. The Yangling City Lord reminded them. Chapter 306. Life on the line, damn brat, die. Ding Tao let out a loud shout. Then he started sprinting towards Yi Xian. Not good. When Xianxia and the other men saw this, their expressions immediately changed. Xianxia even shouted out, help! They quickly jumped off the soaring cloudbird, preparing to intercept one of them and reduce Yi Xian's burden. However, Yi Xian didn't have a good expression either. He could still handle 2 early heavenly core warriors. What made him feel helpless was that Xianxia and the other men had fallen into his trap. Bang! Xianxia immediately attacked Ding Tao, and so did Zheng Yu and the other men. While Ding Tao and the other man were fighting back, Chui Linjiang, who was riding on the back of the rock, also had a murderous look in his eyes. "Big brother, I'm injured." Right at this moment, Ding Tao, who was lying on the ground, suddenly shouted out. His shoulder had been grazed by a sword energy just now. Swoosh! Chui Linjiang immediately jumped off the rock and dashed towards Zhang Shuahai. Damn it, we fell in his trap. Only now did Zhang Shuahai realize what had happened, but it was too late. Yi Xian had a gloomy expression on his face. If this was the case, then he had no choice but to quickly reduce the enemy's numbers. Then he could attack Chui Linjiang together. 8 Desolate Wind Formation. Kill. He took a big step forward and arrived in front of Ding Tao. Then he threw out a punch. Ding Tao was defending against Zhang Shuahai's attack just now, so he didn't notice that Yi Xian had arrived in front of him. Only when the latter threw out a punch did he try to block it with his hand. Bang! Yi Xian's punch landed on Ding Tao's shoulder, and at the same time, 8 sharp blades swept across Ding Tao's body. In an instant, Ding Tao was cut into pieces, and his storage ring was taken away by Yi Xian. What? Ding Tao was instantly killed as well? Chui Linjiang was shocked, but now he had a perfect excuse. After killing Ding Tao, Yi Xian shouted out, "Senior, stop Chui Linjiang, you guys kill this man." This person referred to the other man who had come down with Ding Tao. "You? How dare you stop me? Give me your life." Hearing this, Chui Linjiang was furious. Yi Xian had killed 3 of his subordinates in front of him. How could he not take revenge? Damn it! When Zhang Shuahai and the others heard this, they were very regretful. Why did they attack without thinking? Yi Xian clearly had the ability to take on 2 people at once. If they didn't make a move, then Chui Linjiang wouldn't be able to either. At this moment, Yi Xian had already activated the deadly wind array to its maximum. He took out pills to recover as he retreated. If he wanted to fight with Zhang Shuahai, he could only rely on the 8 Desolate Wind Slaughter Formation. What the F***CK crispy noodle snacks. Luckily, the Bahuang sword gets stronger when it encounters a strong opponent. Its current boost has already surpassed that of most high-grade, earth-grade weapons, Yi Xian thought to himself. Clang, 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 clang. Chui Linjiang held a long sword in his hand and directly charged into the wind-killing array of desolation, slashing away the sharp blades that were attacking him. His strength was not something that Ding Tao and the others could compare to. However, it wouldn't be so easy to stop him like this. Yi Xian was already operating at full power, but Chui Linjiang was blocking it very easily. In fact, it looked like he still had energy left. He gritted his teeth, took out an earth-grade longbow, and raised it to shoot. The deadly wind array of desolation consumed a lot of spiritual power. Yi Xian hadn't tried multitasking before. Now, he was going to try it out. Chain of 7 stars. Yi Xian raised his hand and shot out a series of arrows. Oomph. Chui Linjiang also swept out a sword light, scattering the arrows in an instant. What a strong Jinan essence. Even venerable arrows boost can't make up for it. Yi Xian thought to himself and shot out a few more chain of 7 stars arrows. However, his multitasking gave Chui Linjiang an opportunity. If you focus on these 8 blades, I really can't do anything to you. It's a pity that you gave yourself an opening. Chui Linjiang clearly felt that the speed of the 8 blades had decreased a lot. He took a big stride forward and closed the distance to within 20 meters. Yi Xian was also regretting his decision. He hurriedly put away his longbow and swallowed a pill. He had wanted to use up more of Chui Linjiang's Jinan essence, but now it looked like he had done more harm than good. If attacking won't work, then I'll use another method. He thought to himself, and his hands began to form seals. In an instant, the surrounding air started to sizzle, and clouds of fog started to spread. Chui Linjiang was shocked again. He didn't expect Yi Xian to know spiritual arrays. This was going to be troublesome. This kid's Jinan essence is so strong. It must be the effect of that pill. Now, with this spiritual array, my Jinan essence might be depleted first. Chui Linjiang was a little hesitant. He wondered if he should just retreat and kill Zhang Shuahai and the others first. However, after hearing the angry shouts from behind, he gave up on the idea. City Lord, save me." The man let out a tragic cry. He was besieged by Xianxia, Zhengyu, and the other three, and finally couldn't hold on anymore. Cui Linjiang turned around and saw his head thrown into the air. Blood splattered several meters high. "I can't let this go on. I have to end this quickly." Cui Linjiang suddenly made a decision. He activated a cultivation method, and the Jindan essence in his body started to burn. His entire aura instantly skyrocketed by a few notches. "What?" Yixian sensed it and was immediately shocked. "Kid, you can be proud of yourself for forcing me to burn my Jindan essence and use my trump card at the risk of dropping my cultivation level. Now, give me your life." After Cui Linjiang's aura skyrocketed, his speed also skyrocketed. He was originally more than 20 meters away from Yixian, but after he took a step, he was only 15 meters away. With another step, he swept directly in front of Yixian. "Kid, die." Cui Linjiang condensed a thick wave of Jindan essence and slashed at Yixian. This time, Yixian sensed great danger. He hurriedly retracted his 8 blades and formed a shield. Bang! The sword ray slashed the Octotera shield, instantly sending it flying backward and crashing into Yixian. "Kid, you're finished." Cui Linjiang shot forward, determined to kill Yixian. At this moment, Yixian could already smell the scent of death. He didn't expect Cui Linjiang to have such a trick up his sleeve. Everything happened so quickly that he couldn't even find anything useful in the devouring system. Now, there was only one way, and that was to use the exploding aperture technique. Explode all 7 apertures. "I'll do it." Yixian gritted his teeth and condensed his Jindan essence on his 7 apertures. Poof, poof, poof. However, just as he was about to explode his 3rd aperture, a figure suddenly stepped into Yixian's sensing range. Chapter 307. Mini-giant Cui Linjiang stopped. A loud shout rang out. Cui Linjiang ignored it and continued to swing his sword. This time, he was determined to kill Yixian, so as to avoid future troubles. When the figure who stepped into Yixian saw that Cui Linjiang didn't intend to stop, it instantly crossed 1,000 meters and appeared in front of Yixian. Ha! His long sword was easily caught by a pair of hands, unable to move. "Who is it?" Cui Linjiang's eyes widened as he stared at the figure that suddenly appeared in front of him. In the next instant, his body trembled. He knew this person, the first main city's vice city lord, Yang Kai. How could it be him? Cui Linjiang was extremely shocked. "City Lord Yang, what are you doing?" Yang Kai squinted his eyes and loosened his grip. "Cui Linjiang, you can't attack anymore." "Why?" Cui Linjiang asked. "Sorry, this is the city lord's order. I just came out to stop him." Yang Kai explained. He killed my brother, the vice city lord of Sun Hill City. I can't go against the first city lord's order, right?" After saying that, Cui Linjiang walked past Yang Kai and attacked Yixian. However, his sword suddenly couldn't swing down because the blade was caught by Yang Kai's 2 fingers. "I said, you can't attack anymore, or else I'll kill you on the spot." A murderous intent flashed across Yang Kai's eyes. Suddenly, a mini flying dragon appeared around him. When he saw the mini flying dragon, Cui Linjiang was stunned, and he subconsciously cried out in surprise, "The strength of a flying dragon. You're in the physical strength realm?" Physical strength realm. This was the realm after the heavenly core realm, and it was also the first of the 4 spirit realms. The mini flying dragon flying around Yang Kai meant that Yang Kai had the strength of a flying dragon. A single punch from him was enough to blow Cui Linjiang apart. "That's impossible, you." Cui Linjiang cried out in surprise. "Cui Linjiang, are you trying to say that I was only at the late heavenly core realm last year?" Yang Kai coldly snorted. "Could it be that you won't allow me to break through?" Cui Linjiang withdrew his sword and took a few steps back. A strength warrior could easily kill 100 late heavenly core warriors. This was the perfect example of reaching the heavens in a single bound. "Do you really think you'll be able to break through to the strength realm just by obtaining this nascent heavenly core? Yang Kai said, "Even if you cultivate your core essence to its peak without a soul condensing stone, it's impossible for you to shatter your core and form a soul core and break through to the strength realm. Condensing soul stone? Chui Linjiang muttered to himself. This was the first time he had heard of this. Originally, he thought breaking through from the heavenly core realm to the strength realm was just a normal breakthrough, but he didn't expect that he would need something else. Enough, stop. If you continue, I'll kill you on the spot, Xianxia said slowly. Chui Linjiang fell silent. Just now, he was only half a second away from killing Yixian, but Xianxia had suddenly appeared out of nowhere. Yixian was only at the late, earthly core realm, but he already had such strength. If he broke through to the heavenly core realm, wouldn't he be able to threaten Chui Linjiang? A genius like this had to be killed in the cradle. But now, Xianxia was here, and the mysterious First City Lord was watching. Chui Linjiang was afraid that he couldn't do anything. This Xianxia was just following orders. Could it be that I was too early to kill him? Could it be that I had to wait until Ding Tao was dead? Chui Linjiang didn't understand the situation, but he had been warned twice by Xianxia. If he attacked again, he would be the first one to die. Damn it, just you wait. Chui Linjiang cursed angrily. Then he immediately summoned a Peng and left in a hurry. Looking at Xianxia's back as he left, Yixian, who had almost died, quickly cupped his fist and said, "Thank you, Senior, for your help. No worries, I was just following orders, goodbye." After saying this, Xianxia disappeared, not even leaving behind an afterimage. An expert in the strength realm was indeed extraordinary. After he left, Yixian also breathed a sigh of relief. This time, they were in danger again. "Little brother Yi, are you okay?" Zhang Shuahai and the others hurried over. "I'm fine." Yixian shook his head. "This old master is sorry. I fell into Chui Linjiang's trap and almost killed you," Zhang Shuahai said very guiltily. Yixian hurriedly said, "Senior is too serious. At that time, Senior just wanted to help me. No matter what, this is all my fault. Take this interspatial ring as an apology." Zhang Shuahai handed over an interspatial ring, which belonged to the man they had just killed. Yixian didn't argue and directly accepted it. "Senior, that Chui Linjiang left in a hurry. Maybe he's going to attack Guangjin City. You should go quickly," Yixian suddenly said. "Good. Then little brother Yi, be careful. Come to Divine Land City when you have time." Zhang Shuahai nodded and left with Zheng Yu and the others. Since the Guangjin City Lord was dead, a new city lord must be elected. In the rules of the central state, there was no rule that said a city lord couldn't own two main cities. Although the Guangjin City Lord's net worth was only 10 to 20 million high-quality crystal stones, his territory was even more enormous. At this time, the cloud-soaring bird also flew away, leaving only Yixian here. In his heart, there were still many doubts that had not been solved. For example, why did the green source giant self-destruct? Why couldn't he devour the transparent celestial blue stone? Why did the First City Lord ask Chui Linjiang to stop? And so on. Ding, devouring failed. Yixian tried again, but the transparent celestial blue stone still couldn't be devoured. In desperation, Yixian could only move in the direction of Soaring Heaven Mansion. With his current speed, it would take him about a day to reach Soaring Heaven Mansion. On the way, he also poured the contents of the 4 interspatial rings into the devouring space, and then devoured the heavenly treasures that he didn't need. At this time, his devouring crystal stones had reached more than 18,000. However, he felt that there was still a long way to go before he could break through. However, just as he was about to devour the heavenly treasures, he suddenly noticed a strange phenomenon. The forging materials that he had accumulated in the devouring space had disappeared without a trace. "What's going on? I've stored so many forging materials. Why are they all gone?" Yixian couldn't help but stop in his tracks. He sank his consciousness into the devouring space, and then he was shocked to find that there was a small thing moving around in the devouring space. It was the transparent celestial blue stone. However, unlike before, this celestial blue stone had a pair of mini hands and feet, and it was a mini version of the green source giant. Damn, the green source giant? Yixian was shocked. Chapter 308. Rock Spirit Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation Yi Xian grabbed the transparent green giant in his hand. Poof, 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 poof. The mini giant realized that it was being held in Yi Xian's hand. It immediately waved its two small stone arms and slapped the back of Yi Xian's hand. You little guy, what are you? If I say you're alive, you can actually jump around in my devouring space. If I say you're dead, you can't be devoured. Yi Xian looked at the little thing and suddenly thought of something. It was the nut wall in Plants vs. Zombies. However, it was a nut that was half-eaten by zombies and had become moldy and green. The mini giant felt very uncomfortable being held in Yi Xian's hand. It kept slapping the back of Yi Xian's hand, trying to get Yi Xian to put down. You little thing, can you understand what I'm saying? Yi Xian asked. The mini giant blinked its eyes, looked innocently at Yi Xian, and then slightly nodded its head. Damn, I can understand you. Yi Xian was shocked again. Only now did he recall the strange reaction of the green giant. Could it be that the green giant couldn't consume that much energy after devouring the celestial stone and was afraid that it would explode? So it exploded several times and gave birth to thousands of green giants. And this mini giant was mutated from the remaining celestial bluestone? Yi Xian thought to himself. However, this was not important. What was important was that the mini giant must have swallowed all the forging materials. At that moment, Yi Xian pinched the mini giant's foot and turned it upside down to see if it would spit out the items. After all, those forging materials were worth at least several million top-grade crystals. Pa! 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 The mini giant waved its arms wildly in the air and continued to look at Yi Xian with innocent eyes. Yi Xian could not bear to see it like this. At this moment, it suddenly bent its body and pushed Yi Xian's fingers with its two small arms. Surprisingly, it managed to break free. Yi Xian was stunned for a moment. He could only watch as the little guy fell head first into the soil. Then, the little thing crawled out of the soil by itself. After glancing at Yi Xian, it turned around and ran. You want to run after eating my food? Yi Xian dashed forward and caught it. He then exchanged for a small cage from the devouring space and threw it inside. The gap in the cage was just slightly smaller than the little thing. It couldn't get out, so it could only beat the cage continuously. Shut up. I'm wondering if I should kill you. Yi Xian said in a low voice. This time, the little thing stopped making a fuss and just looked at Yi Xian pitifully. To be honest, Yi Xian had no idea what this little thing was. Both the storage ring and the devouring space could not store living things, but this little thing was actually able to jump around in the devouring space. It was really strange. Therefore, Yi Xian decided to bring it back to the Great Elder. He threw the little thing into the devouring space and continued on his journey. After breaking through to the minor Earth Core realm, his speed was no longer something that ordinary Heavenly Core warriors could catch up with. Although Zhou Yin and the other four left first, Yi Xian still caught up with them. After that, the six of them returned to the soaring heaven mansion together. About a week later, they finally arrived at the soaring heaven mansion. After arriving, Yi Xian quickly left and headed towards the soaring heaven mansion. If it wasn't because he was worried that something might happen to Zhou Yin and the others, he would have returned by himself. When he arrived at the Great Elder's place, he was shocked to find out that Song Sui Jing and Adjudicator Song were still in that strange state. Could something have happened to them? It's been more than a month. Yi Xian sensed that both siblings had broken through to the Heavenly Core realm. This really scared him. He had been fighting in the outside world for so long, and had almost lost his life many times, but he was only at the late Earth Core realm. But this pair of siblings' cultivation speed was even faster than his, and this was really hard for him to accept. Luckily, he was able to convince himself with one reason, and that was that Song Sui Jing was his fiancée. Since Song Sui Jing was fine, Yi Xian went to look for the Great Elder, Lin Wenyue. Right at this moment, the bamboo forest was once again covered by an illusion formation. Without any other choice, Yi Xian shouted out loudly, "Great Elder, Yi Xian wishes to see you." In less than a second, the illusion formation was removed by Lin Wenyue. Creak! The door of the wooden hut was opened, and a white-haired lady walked out. She looked at Yi Xian and said, "Don't worry, Your fiancé will be fine. Yixian was startled. He didn't expect his thoughts to be seen through by someone. But this time, he didn't come here just because of Song Sui Jing. He looked at Lin Wenyue's calm expression and said, "Great Elder, I wonder if you've seen this thing before." After saying that, he took out the beast trapping cage from his devouring space. But in the next moment, he was shocked to find that the beast trapping cage was open and the little thing was not inside. His heart sank. He found that the little thing was once again stepping on all the natural treasures in his devouring space. F***, you bastard, come out. With a thought, Yixian grabbed the little thing and threw it into the beast trapping cage. After seeing the little thing, the great elder's eyes flickered and said, "This is a rock spirit, a type of strange beast. It's born from precious ores, but it's extremely rare." After hearing this, Yixian's eyes lit up and said, "Great Elder, what's the use of this thing? This strange beast is a type of demonic beast. If it's nurtured well, it can grow into a profound beast in the future. It can even become a sacred beast that's comparable to a spirit realm 4th stage." Lin Wenyue explained. "Sacred beast?" Hearing this, Yixian's eyes lit up. "Isn't a wyvern a sacred beast?" "But, Great Elder, the growth time of a profound beast seems to be very long." Yixian asked again. "That's right, but this strange beast is different. This rock spirit mainly relies on ores and other forging materials. As long as it eats a lot, it can greatly increase its growth speed." Lin Wenyue said, "Since you have so many natural treasures, as long as you nurture it with all your strength, it can become a great help to you in the future." Hearing this, the little rock in the beast-trapping cage blinked its eyes. It looked at Yixian as if it was saying, "Did you hear that? Hurry up and let me out." Yixian thought for a moment. But how would he know if the little rock was an ingrate? Would it trample him to death when it became powerful in the future? Chapter 309. Conclude a contract. This reminded Yixian that there were many mystical beasts in the devouring system. Found it. Slave contract, equal contract, symbiotic contract. Yixian immediately found a lot of things. He looked at Little Shirtu sneakily and revealed a crafty smile. Little Shirtu blinked his eyes and subconsciously took a few steps back. He suddenly had a bad premonition. "Great Elder, I'll take my leave first." Yixian cupped his fist at Lin Wenyue and left. Lin Wenyue looked in front of her and quietly stood there for a while. Then she returned to her small wooden house. "TSK, TSK, TSK, see if I don't kill you. How dare you eat my food and destroy my treasures?" After leaving the bamboo forest, Yixian carried a cage in his hand and cursed angrily. As for the little thing in the cage, it was running around the cage as if doomsday had arrived. Yixian quickly returned to his residence and closed the door behind him. He placed the cage on the bed and sat cross-legged in front of it. Come, let's try the low-level slave contract first." Yixian took out a sheepskin scroll and spread it on the bed. He began to mutter some words that were hard to understand. Inside the cage, Little Shirtu was startled and hastily stretched his hand out of the cage. Then, with a cracking sound, he actually opened the cage. Then, he quickly escaped. Yixian opened his eyes when he heard the sound. He was almost scared to death. This little guy actually escaped from prison again, right under his nose. However, this little thing was at most a demonic beast, not even a spirit beast. Yixian reached out and caught it. "I think it's better to make a high-grade cage for beasts," Yixian thought to himself as he took out a new cage. It was more exquisite than the previous one and was about the same size. He threw the little thing inside and closed the small iron door. "You can't open it now, right?" Yixian snickered. Only his elixir essence could open this cage. Unless he destroyed the cage, this little thing would not be able to escape. The little thing was running around inside, stretching out its two slender arms as if it was shouting, "Let me out." Yixian ignored him and continued to chant his contract incantation. A few seconds later, a purple circle appeared on the parchment. Yixian cut his finger and dripped his blood into the circle. "TSK, TSK, you're finished." Yixian placed the beast-trapping cage inside and continued chanting the incantation. The formation on the parchment expanded and enveloped the entire cage. Ding! Formation failed. A system notification suddenly rang in Yi Xian's mind. What? Failed? Yi Xian's eyes widened. He immediately reacted. Perhaps it was because Lil Thing's level was too high, so the level of the contract wasn't high enough. Intermediate servant contract. He spent some Devour points to exchange for a new contract. 10 seconds later. Ding! Formation failed. Looks like it's still not enough. Advanced servant contract. Yi Xian began his third attempt. This advanced servant contract cost him a total of 500 Devour points. Ding! Formation failed. The same notification sounded again. Yi Xian was stunned. Even the advanced servant contract didn't work. Could it be that he needed a top-tier one? Clap, clap, clap. Seeing Yi Xian fail so many times, Lil Thing in the beast trapping cage excitedly slapped the bars. If it had a mouth, it would definitely laugh until its teeth fell out. Don't gloat over my misfortune. You're my prisoner now. You'd better obey me obediently. As long as you follow me, you'll have good food every day. What do you think? Yi Xian began to coerce. Lil Thing shook its head, indicating that it didn't want anything but freedom. Here, I'll give you this intermediate earth weapon. Yi Xian exchanged for an intermediate earth weapon, then opened the beast trapping cage. Although Lil Thing wanted to run, he could grab it back with just a stretch of his hand. He wasn't afraid that Lil Thing would run away. When Lil Thing saw the middle rank earth artifact, its eyes immediately lit up as it pounced on it. Then, a crack appeared under its big eyes, and it bit the blade. Damn, you have a mouth. Yi Xian was shocked. While he was still in shock, Lil Thing actually swallowed the entire intermediate earth weapon. Damn, this is comparable to my sword-devouring technique. Yi Xian sighed, then asked, what do you think? As long as you follow me, you'll have these things to eat every day. Lil Thing closed its mouth, but still shook its head. Damn you, you ate my food, and you still dare to refuse? Yi Xian reached out and hung Lil Thing upside down. Lil Thing gestured. Yi Xian was stunned, then said, you mean this isn't enough? Lil Thing nodded. All right, try this. Yi Xian exchanged for another high-grade earth artifact that was worth 5 Devour crystals. Lil Thing swallowed the sword in a few seconds. What do you think? Yi Xian asked again. Lil Thing still shook its head, then gestured again. What, you want 100? Yi Xian was shocked. 100 upper earth weapons was worth 500 devouring crystals. Lil Thing meant that it had to eat that many a day. If it ate 500 devouring crystals a day, then it would eat 15,000 a month. No, 5. Yi Xian began to bargain. Lil Thing also shook its head, then gestured again. 90, 10, 80, 15, 70. The two of them argued for a while, then finally settled on 30. 30 upper earth weapons a day was worth 150 devouring crystals. That would be 4,500 devouring crystals a month. In that case, Yi Xian's devouring crystals would only be enough to feed Lil Thing for 3 months. F***, you're really asking for too much. Come on. Yi Xian took out another intermediate contract. Ding. Contract failed. Damn, I'm going to waste another advanced contract. Yi Xian painfully exchanged for another one. This time, he finally heard a system notification that was different from the others. Ding. Contract successful. Hearing this, Yi Xian heaved a sigh of relief, as if a heavy burden had been lifted from his shoulders. The contract had finally been successfully formed. Ding. Host has formed a slave contract with Rock Spirit. Please give a name. It needs a name. Yi Xian was a little surprised, then asked, what name do you want it to be called? Lil Thing blinked its big eyes. It couldn't speak, so it could only wait for Yi Xian to name it. Lil Thing, Lil Thing, Lil Thing, Lil Foodie, Lil Rock, which one do you want? Yi Xian read them one by one. Lil Thing shook its head to express its dissatisfaction, then gestured again. Hey, you want a fancy name? Fine, let me think. Yi Xian thought for a moment, then said, Air Dan, Tainyo, Goshen, what do you think? Chapter 310. Wei Jintian. If you want to go higher, then Murong Erden, Huang Futiniu, and Xinyuan Goshen should be fine, right? Yi Xian said. Lil Thing still shook its head. Then Wei Jintian, Optimus Prime, Jingpation, Potato, Nut Tomato Potato. Yixian tried to name a few more names. This time, the little thing hesitated thoughtfully for a moment, and then gestured. What? You want the first one? That's too tasteless. Why don't you call it Iron Pillar? That's much easier to pronounce. Yixian blurted out. But who would have thought that little thing would jump up and slap Yixian on the nose? F*CK. Wei Jintian is Wei Jintian. Yixian was helpless and quickly named Lil Thing. Ding! Naming successful. Lil Thing, no. It should be called Wei Jintian now. After successfully naming it, there was an additional attribute panel in Yixian's system. It was a column of items. Name, Wei Jintian type, Rock Spirit current level, early stage True Spirit Realm. After eating so much, it's only at early stage True Spirit Realm. What a scam. Yixian was slightly helpless. At this moment, ding, the attribute panel has been activated. The Thousand Beasts Bloodline Advancement route has been updated. Hearing this, Yixian subconsciously switched to the Bloodline panel. Thousand Beasts Bloodline, Advancement Route 1, Strength. Current level of advancement is 0. Every advancement increases the strength of both hands by 10%. Advancement Route 2, Agility. Current level of advancement is 1. Every advancement increases the movement speed by 10%. Advancement Route 3, Monster Growth Speed. Current level of advancement is 0. Every advancement increases the growth speed of monster by 10%. Advancement Route 4, Monster Attributes. Current level of advancement is 0. Every advancement increases the monster's attributes by 10%. Advancement Route 5, Monster Expansion. Current level of advancement is 0. Every advancement allows the taming of one more monster. There were 3 more advancement routes for the Thousand Beast Bloodline. Yixian's eyes almost popped out. He did not expect the Thousand Beast Bloodline to have such an effect. These advancement routes are not bad. Unfortunately, I did not encounter the Devourer beast again. Yixian shook his head helplessly. Then, he immersed his consciousness into the devouring system again and directly selected a mystical beast growth plan that was worth 1,000 devouring crystals. Here, eat this. It will help you grow faster. Yixian opened a packet of powder. Wei Jintian doubtfully swallowed it. It sensed that there was no effect at all. Immediately, it reached out and asked for the remaining high-grade earthly tool. All right, little foodie, take it. Yixian immediately exchanged for 29 high-grade earthly artifacts. This little thing had to eat 150 Devour crystals a day. If he didn't find a way to earn money, he would become poor. The little thing finished all the food in a few bites and then requested to return to the devouring space to rest. Yixian was also speechless, but this time he directly put the little thing into his storage space. He had just exchanged for this monster space. As long as the monster space stayed inside, it would grow faster than outside. Now, the matter of the Heavenly Yuan sect had come to an end. After Mo Ziyun and the others returned to the soaring heaven mansion, they organized the disciples and prepared to rebuild the Heavenly Yuan sect. This time, the Heavenly Yuan sect had obtained a lot of mystical beast cores. The entire sect's rank would probably increase by a lot. However, when it came to inner cores, the soaring heaven mansion had a lot of them. It was enough to help all the mortal core disciples in the soaring heaven mansion break through to the earth core realm. The Heavenly Yuan sect was very busy, and so was the soaring heaven mansion. However, Yixian was the one with the least amount of free time. Just a week after he returned, Grand Elder Zhou Yin took the time to look for him. Supreme Elder, why are you here? Yixian was playing with Wei Jintian in the courtyard. When he saw Zhou Yin, he was a little surprised. This old man is here to tell you that Kai Jing and the others have come out of seclusion. Zhou Yin said straightforwardly. What? They have come out? Yixian was overjoyed when he heard this. The siblings had been in seclusion for so long, and they had finally come out. But they are still consolidating their cultivation, so they might need some time. Come with me. After Zhou Yin finished speaking, he led Yixian towards the soaring heaven peak. When Yixian arrived at the door of Zhou Yan's cultivation room, he was stunned. Right at this moment, One side of the cultivation room's door was frozen, and the other side was burning red. It looked very strange. While they are consolidating their cultivation, you shouldn't go in. The energy inside is very strange. I was almost blown away just now. You should wait for them to come out by themselves. Zhou Yin said in a somewhat ashamed manner. He was a heavenly core warrior, but he was almost blown away just because he opened a door. If this were to spread out, it would be a disgrace to his reputation. All right, Yixian naturally wouldn't disturb them. Sigh, I'm ashamed. I still need a few more days before I can break through to the initial heavenly core realm, but they're already at the heavenly core realm as well. Zhou Yin said with a helpless expression. They're already at the heavenly core realm. After hearing what Zhou Yin said, Yixian also had a helpless expression on his face. He was only at the late Earth core realm, but Song Suijing and Song Jeju were already at the heavenly core realm. But this wasn't a bad thing. Since the difference in strength wasn't too big, he would be able to bring Song Suijing with him in the future. Both men waited outside the door for half a day. After that, the cultivation room's door finally opened. Crack! The cultivation room's door opened, and two figures walked out from within. Yixian, Song Suijing, who had just come out from the special cultivation room, immediately saw Yixian. Without hesitation, she jumped into his arms. You've been cultivating for so long. You should be tired, right? Yixian gently stroked Song Suijing's hair. Have we been cultivating for a long time? Song Suijing asked in a surprised manner. It's been more than a month. Zhou Yin reminded her. It's been so long. Song Suijing turned around and looked at Song Jeju. She felt like only 1 or 2 days had passed. All right, since you've come out from your secluded cultivation, it's time for me to enter secluded cultivation. After saying that, Zhou Yin entered another cultivation room. He had absorbed a lot of inner cores, and in a few more days, he would be able to break through to the minor heavenly core realm. Song Jeju sensed his strength, and he realized that his strength was a few hundred times stronger than before, and his physique had improved as well. He couldn't help but say, I thought the divine core realm was very strong, but I never expected that I would break through to the heavenly core realm so quickly. This is incredible. Right at this moment, Yixian suddenly recalled something. Then he asked, Oh right, big brother, are you going to use an axe as your weapon from now on? That's right, I've used other weapons before, but the axe is still the best. Besides, look at my body. Do you think it's suitable for me to use a sword? Song Jeju nodded his head. If that's the case, I have a bloodline seed here. You can try it. Yixian took out a crystal clear bloodline seed. This was the Axe King bloodline he had exchanged for on the spot, and it had the same effect as the Sword Emperor bloodline. This is Chapter 311. The brother and sister duo had come out of seclusion. I found this bloodline seed by accident. It was left behind by a senior who was proficient in axe skills. Yixian handed it over to Song Ju. When Judge Song heard about the bloodline seed, he was startled for 2 seconds. Haha, thank you, brother-in-law. Without thinking too much, he immediately swallowed the bloodline seed. A second later, his eyes opened wide, and he took out a long axe that was taller than him. This is amazing. I feel like this earth-shattering axe has become a part of my body, and I've learned a mid-ranked earth-rank martial skill. Judge Song held the long axe and practiced it. Without hesitation, Yixian exchanged for a high-ranked earth-rank long axe and said, Big brother, this is a high-ranked earth-rank weapon, the Flaming Sun Axe. Also, these are the high-ranked earth-rank martial skills I found. You can take them all. Judge Song couldn't wrap his head around this. It was fine if it was just a bloodline seed, but now there was even a high-grade earth-level martial art and a high-grade earth-level artifact. What had happened in the past month? Just what had happened? Judge Song, these are yours. After Yixian passed the items to Judge Song, he took out some other items. A normal high-grade earthly artifact was only worth 5 Devourer crystals. However, the one he had just exchanged for was the best of the high-grade earthly artifacts. It was the closest to a celestial artifact. The axe and sword had cost him a total of 500 Devourer crystals. Looks like a lot of things have happened in the past month. You need to tell me everything later. Song Suijing was still worried, but when she saw that Yixian was fine, she was relieved. Don't worry, there are still some good things, Xian said with a smile on his face. He took out some more inner cores and said, both of you have broken through to the heavenly core realm. Here's some inner cores of early heavenly core realm inner cores. Cough. Both of us have just broken through. We need some time to consolidate our cultivation. If we want to absorb the inner cores, we need to wait for a while. Judge Song quickly said, it doesn't matter. Keep it for now. When the time comes, you can refine it on your own. Yi Xian divided the Xian beast inner core into 2 portions. That's good. Then I won't disturb you. I'm going to try out my new weapon. Zhu Song carried the flaming sun axe and excitedly left. As for Song Suijing, she followed Yi Xian back to her residence. The two sat in the courtyard, and Song Suijing began to talk about her experiences over the past month. You said you subdued a rock spirit. Where is it? Song Suijing asked curiously. Without another word, Yi Xian directly pulled Megatron out of the artifact space and said, this is the one. It swallowed so many of my things that I almost can't raise it anymore. Hey, why is it kitten? Song Suijing was also surprised to see Shiling. When Yi Xian heard this, he shifted his gaze. In the next moment, he turned pale with fright. They saw a small green cat sitting cross-legged on the stone table, blinking its big eyes at the two of them. Damn, could it have evolved? Yi Xian hurriedly pulled out the artifact panel and found that Shiling, Megatron Jitian, was already at the peak of true profound realm and was about to become a profound beast. Meow, the green cat softly called out, then suddenly collapsed and reassembled in front of the two of them, turning into an elk. Damn, it's really a transformer. It can actually reassemble like the Ba Huang sword. Yi Xian was shocked. If this was the case, then it might be able to turn into a rock in the future. At that time, he could sit and fly. Song Suijing looked at the mini elk with shining eyes and said, is it the rock spirit? How can it change back and forth? Can it turn into an arrow-backed pig? When the rock spirit heard this, it blinked and immediately transformed again. It really turned into an arrow-backed pig, but it was a mini version. So cute, what's its name? Song Suijing held the arrow-backed pig in the palm of her hand and asked curiously. Megatron, Yi Xian said awkwardly. This world didn't have any transformers, so he definitely hadn't heard of it. Then let's call it Little Tion. Little Tion, can you turn back into your original form? Song Suijing asked again. Then, the arrow-backed pig transformed again and returned to its original appearance of a nut that was bitten by a zombie. It had 2 thin arms and 2 thin legs. At this time, it suddenly stretched out its hand and faced Yi Xian. Damn, didn't I just give it to you this morning? What performance fee? Yi Xian was speechless. This was really a foodie. He immediately took out 2 high-rank earthly artifacts, and Megatron swallowed them in front of the two of them. It eats these. Song Suijing was almost scared to death. Those were 2 high-rank earthly artifacts. Yes, it eats 30 of them a day. Yi Xian nodded. 30 of them. Earthly artifacts. Song Suijing rolled her eyes. 1 high-rank earthly artifact was enough to buy the entire Great Song dynasty. 30 of them were enough to buy the entire eastern region, or even the 4 major regions. Most importantly, this was Megatron's food fee for a day. You little thing, you're already a peak true profound realm spirit beast. If you break through again, you'll become a profound beast. But you won't always be this small, right? Yi Xian asked. Megatron shook its head, then it jumped to the ground and shattered into countless small powder. The next scene made Yi Xian and Song Suijing dumbstruck. They saw Megatron's small powder slowly expand. In the blink of an eye, it became the size of soccer ball, then the size of stone table. Yi Xian quickly added, "Let me see your biggest form." Megatron heard this and started to expand crazily. In the end, it condensed into a 10-meter-tall giant. The 10-meter-tall giant seemed to be a profound Earth Core realm green source giant. "Can you turn into a rock and fly?" Yi Xian asked again. In the next moment, the green source giant disintegrated and turned into a rock with a wingspan of 10 meters. It flew a circle in the sky. Not bad. Its speed has already surpassed an ordinary soaring sky rock. If it grows one more time, it will become a profound beast. Yi Xian nodded satisfyingly. It seemed like he was really lucky this time. In just a week, Megatron almost broke through to the profound beast realm. If he was given a month, wouldn't he at least reach the Earth core realm? If he was given a year, wouldn't he be able to break through to the flying dragon realm? The rock spirit turned into a green rock and immediately attracted the attention of the other disciples. What kind of spirit beast is that? A green rock? How come I've never heard of it before? I heard that it's a spirit beast that senior brother Yi tamed. I thought he was a green rock spirit just now. How did he turn into a rock? Let's just focus on our cultivation. Senior brother Yi can already kill heavenly core warriors, and we haven't even broken through to the earth core realm yet. Let's go, let's go. A group of disciples were discussing among themselves. Chapter 3:12. Trash that can't be raised currently. The structure of the soaring heaven mansion was going to change. The four manors might merge into one. After all, with so many inner cores, anyone will be able to break through to the divine core realm. However, right at this moment, suddenly, a figure arrived at the door. Yixian, are you here? A voice came from outside the door. When Yixian heard it, he was surprised because it was the voice of the chief of the Divine Prefecture Alliance, Zheng Miao. Senior disciple Zheng, please come in. Yixian shouted. Zheng Miao hastily walked in from the outside. Senior disciple Zheng, how is Guangjin City? Yixian hastily asked. He knew that the reason why Zheng Miao came back to the Soaring Heaven Mansion was because of Guangjin City. Hearing this, Zheng Miao shook his head and said, not good. That Chui Linjiang has returned to the Central Province, and soon he will compete with us for the position of Guangjin City's mayor. Senior disciple Zheng, can the mayor of the upper three cities compete for the position? Yixian was surprised. No, Chui Linjiang is the mayor of Sun Hill City. He won't compete for the position, but his father will. Zheng Miao shook his head and said, Chui Linjiang's father? Yixian was startled. Perhaps only a late heavenly core warrior could make Zheng Miao fear him. After the mayor of Guangjin City died, the first city mayor sent someone to stay in the mayor's mansion. Anyone can apply to compete for the position of mayor. Right now, more than 10 early heavenly core warriors have applied, including those from the upper three cities. Besides Chui Linjiang, there is another late heavenly core warrior. Zheng Miao started explaining to Yixian. 2 late heavenly core warriors? Yixian squinted his eyes. These were all the top warriors in the heavenly water continent. But when he heard that more than 10 early heavenly core warriors had joined the competition, his eyes lit up. Originally, he thought whoever arrived at the mayor's mansion first would get the position, but he didn't expect that he would need to apply. Looking at this, he might be able to get some benefits. Senior Marshal Brother Zheng, the purpose of your visit is... Yixian asked again. My grandfather wants your help. If we succeed in taking down Guangjin City, we will split the profits in half. Zheng Miao said, a 50-50 split would make it 50-50. The benefits of Guangjin City might not be high, but all the cities within Guangjin City's territory had to pay taxes to Guangjin City every year. Moreover, Yuan Ibo definitely had many private mines and treasure lands. If they were all mined, the value would be immeasurable. All right, I agree. Yixian nodded. At this moment, Song Sui Jing also hurriedly said, I want to go too. Ask your elder brother to join us as well. We can use this opportunity to gain some experience. I want to see how strong all of you are now after breaking through to the heavenly core realm. Yixian nodded his head. From the moment she entered the room, Zheng Miao felt that Song Sui Jing was extraordinary. Now that she heard Yixian's words, she was stunned. Heavenly core realm. If that young Master Yangling was in front of Song Sui Jing, he would be nothing more than an ant. Without hesitation, Song Sui Jing left and went to look for Adjudicator Song. The mayor's battle was about to begin, and they had to hurry to the central province. Very soon, Adjudicator Song also rushed over. He was worried about not having a place to gain experience. Zheng Miao rode a soaring cloudbird here, so it only took them a day to travel from the soaring cloud mansion to the central province city. Right at this moment, Zheng Shuahai and the other men were having a discussion in the main hall. When they saw Zheng Miao and Yixian, they immediately stood up. Little brother Yi, you're finally here? Xianxia quickly walked over and greeted them. Yixian walked closer and found out that Zheng Yu and another middle-aged man had both broken through to the early heavenly core realm. He immediately congratulated them. Congratulations, seniors. This is all thanks to those refined pills you gave me. Too bad. There are only 7 days left until the mayor's battle, and I won't be able to break through to the late heavenly core realm in 7 days. Zheng Shuhai shook his head. After that, he looked at Song Sui Jing and Adjudicator Song who were standing behind Yixian. Then he asked, "These two are?" "This is my fiancé, Song Sui Jing, and this is my elder brother, Adjudicator Song. You should be able to fight with an early heavenly core warrior, and he will be joining the battle with me." Yixian introduced them to each other. "Ha, this old man thanks you." Zheng Shuahai expressed his gratitude. "Senior, you're too kind." Song Sui Jing smiled. She was really happy, because this time, she could finally help Yixian. "Little brother Yi, why don't we go to the #1 main city now?" Zheng Shuahai asked again. "All right." Yixian nodded his head. After that, they sat on the soaring cloudbird and headed towards the center of the central province city, the #1 main city. Right at this moment, all the powerful warriors in the central province city had gathered there. A main city's mayor was extremely powerful, and it had attracted a huge amount of people, including some sects and families in the central province city, and even some lone warriors with extraordinary strength. Of course, some of them weren't here to fight for the position of mayor. They were here to gain benefits from the mayor battle. This time, it took the soaring cloudbird an entire day to arrive at the #1 main city. The #1 main city had a city wall that was over 10,000 meters long, and countless people lived within it. At the same time, there was a special rule, and that was that no birds or beasts were allowed to fly over the #1 main city. Because of this rule, the soaring cloudbird could only land outside the #1 main city. After that, Zheng Shuhai led Yixian through the noisy streets and arrived at the mayor's mansion. "So, this is the #1 main city's mayor's mansion? That Yangkai is a strength realm warrior. Then the mayor of the #1 main city should be at least at the strength realm, right?" Yixian murmured in his mind. It was very easy to apply for the mayor battle. Anyone could apply, even if they were at the true spirit realm. After the application was completed, Yixian and the other two received an identity token. After 6 days, they would gather at the designated location, and someone would escort them to the location of the mayor battle. On the way to the #1 main city, Zheng Shuahai explained the format of the mayor battle to Yixian and the other two, which was to compete for the city mayor's token. The #1 city mayor would hide the Guangjin city's city mayor's token somewhere. As long as someone found this token and held it for a period of time, they would be the new city mayor. In addition, there were no restrictions on killing, and they could do as they pleased. However, just as Yixian and the others left the #1 main city's mansion, they bumped into another group of people. The leader of this group was someone Yixian was familiar with. He was Sunhill City's city mayor, Chui Linjiang. Enemies are bound to meet on a narrow road. Yixian subconsciously said. Chui Linjiang looked at Yixian and the others. Then he coldly harumphed and said, "I let you live last time, and I thought you'd struggle to survive. I didn't expect you to come and help Divine Land City. In a few more days, you'll die." Right at this moment, an old man walked out from behind him and said, "He's the guy who killed 4 early Heavenly Core warriors from Sunhill City." Chapter 313. First main city, father, that's him. Chui Linjiang nodded his head. "Fine, I'll remember that. When the time comes, I'll kill you myself." A killing intent flashed through the old man's eyes. He was Chui Linjiang's father, the old mayor of Sun Hill City, Chui Feng. Just as Zheng Shuahai and the others were about to retort, Song Sui Jing, who was standing next to Yixian, suddenly took a step forward and let out a cold snort. "Old man, don't rely on your old age. Don't let Yixian break all your bones when the time comes." Seeing Yixian being ridiculed, of course she couldn't stand it anymore. "Little girl, you've got a big mouth. You better not fall into my hands, or else I'll make you wish you were dead." Chui Feng's eyes once again flashed with a ruthless expression. After that, he led the others and walked into the mayor's mansion in the first main city. This Chui family is really something, They even managed to recruit the 3 freaks of Secluded Mountain. Looks like they are determined to take over Guangjin City, Xianxia said. The 3 freaks of Secluded Mountain were the 3 masked men behind Chui Linjiang, and they were all at the early Heavenly Core realm. Xie Hui, Ding Tao, and the other 3 were all dead, and in just a few days, the Sun Hill City had recruited another 3 early Heavenly Core warriors, and they were all famous warriors in the Central Province. This had caused the Divine Land City to feel pressured. However, Yi Xian, who was standing there quietly, had a relaxed expression on his face. So what if they were 3 early Heavenly Core warriors? If he ran into them, they would all end up the same. After that, Zhang Shuhai and the others brought Yi Xian to their mansion in the first main city so that Yi Xian could have a good rest. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Song Sui Jing and Judge Song continued to learn upper-rank, Earth-rank martial skills. They didn't have the devouring system, so they needed time to learn martial skills. However, with the bloodline of the Sword Emperor and their father, it was very easy for them to learn martial skills. Apart from the corresponding offensive martial skills, their understanding of other martial skills was very ordinary. At the same time, Yi Xian also took advantage of these few days to stroll around the first main city. He discovered that in the first main city's weapon shops, other than selling low-grade earth weapons, there wasn't even a mid-grade earth weapon, let alone a high-grade earth weapon. It seemed that the weapons in the first main city were all monopolized by the All Affairs Pavilion and given priority to those clans and sections. There were still a few days before the slot battle, so Yi Xian wanted to take advantage of this opportunity to improve his strength. Simply put, it was to make money. In the All Affairs Pavilion, as long as one could afford it, they could do all kinds of things. In addition to killing people and searching for people, there were also things to do. Yi Xian immediately went to look for him. The Myriad Pavilion in the #1 main city was the largest in the entire central state. As soon as Yi Xian entered, a waiter led Yi Xian to a private room. I need some forging materials, medium and high-grade earth-tier materials. I need at least 10 million top-grade crystals. How many do you have? Yi Xian got straight to the point. 10 million top-grade crystals. The waiter was stunned. Thinking that he had encountered a big order, he hurriedly said, "Your Excellency, please wait a moment." He left in a hurry. Not long after, he came back with another person. Yi Xian happened to see this person before. It was the first main city's Vice-City Lord, Yang Kai. "HM, it's you?" After Yang Kai saw Yi Xian was more or less surprised. "Senior, we meet again." Yi Xian was also surprised. "You need a lot of forging materials?" Yang Kai also got straight to the point. "Yes, a lot." Yi Xian nodded. Yang Kai didn't talk nonsense and directly took out some forging materials, asking, "How many do you need?" "I'll take as many as you have," Yi Xian replied. He really had an infinite demand for forging materials. He only needed to think about it, and he could succeed. As for the remaining materials, he could also give them to Wei Zhentian as snacks. "Okay, since you need a lot, I can give you according to the market price." Yang Kai directly calculated and then reported a number, 13 million top-quality crystal stones. Yi Xian took out this number of top-grade crystals and completed the transaction. "Also, City Lord Yang, do you also accept mid-rank or high-rank earth artifacts?" Yi Xian asked again. "Yes, mid-rank earth artifacts cost 600 top-grade crystals, and high-rank earth artifacts cost 60,000. Of course, it depends on the quality." Yang Kai narrowed his eyes and began to calculate a large amount of Yi Xian. "I see. They'll take my leave." After Yi Xian finished speaking, he directly left. Yang Kai looked at Yi Xian's departing back and muttered in his heart, "I wonder why City Lord is so interested in this little brat." After leaving Myriad Pavilion, Yi Xian returned to his residence. With the 13 million top-grade crystals, he estimated that he could forge at least 300 high-rank earth artifacts and 20,000 mid-rank earth artifacts. If he sold them, he would make double the profit. Unfortunately, there were not many materials. He directly finished forging everything in a small alley and then returned to Myriad Pavilion. It just so happened that Yang Kai was in the hall. "Little brother, do you need anything else?" Yang Kai asked in surprise when he saw Yi Xian return. I brought a batch of high-rank earth artifacts. Yi Xian nodded. Yang Kai was shocked and hurriedly led Yi Xian to a side room. 300 high-rank earth artifacts, 20,000 mid-rank earth artifacts, high quality. Yang Kai was shocked. When he saw the name on the hilt of these earth artifacts, he exclaimed, Yi Xian, oh, my family will always put my name on the artifacts after they are forged. Yi Xian hurriedly explained. If he told Yang Kai that he had forged so many earth artifacts in 1 minute, this strength realm master would definitely be shocked to death. I didn't expect that in addition to the 3 blacksmiths in the upper 3 cities, there would be another master. Okay, I'll buy all of these earth artifacts at the same price as before. Yang Kai directly took out 30 million top-quality crystal stones. Yi Xian accepted it with a smile and completed the transaction, earning a net profit of 17 million top-quality crystal stones and 30 million top-quality crystal stones cultivation base. After the transaction was completed, he said, City Lord Yang, I still need some things. What do you need? Just tell me. Yang Kai said. Celestial blue stone, dragon jade. Yi Xian said a lot of things at once. You want to forge a heaven artifact? Yang Kai instantly understood. And the elders of my family want to practice. In addition, they need a heaven-grade martial art. I wonder if Myriad Pavilion has any. Yi Xian nodded. We have a little celestial blue stone and dragon jade, but we don't have any other materials. As for heaven-grade martial arts, we don't have any. Yang Kai replied. At this time, Yi Xian realized that even if Myriad Pavilion had a heaven-grade martial art, he probably couldn't afford it. This was definitely not something that could be bought with a few thousand or 10,000 spirit stones. Then I also need some alchemy materials. Chapter 314. The day before the competition this time, Yi Xian stayed in the Myriad Pavilion for half an hour. He had too many ways to earn money, so he could only choose some common materials to refine. A day later, he brought the pills to the Myriad Pavilion again. At the same time, he also took out some treasures he had exchanged for. Yang Kai had high hopes for these treasures, but unfortunately, there was a limit to how much they could be exchanged for. In the end, Yi Xian only earned 100 million top-quality crystal stones. Although it wasn't much, it still brought him one step closer to the heavenly core realm. However, if he wanted to become the city lord of Guangjin City, he would need to at least break through to the heavenly core realm. Therefore, he went to the Myriad Pavilion again the day before the city lord competition. This time, he wanted something different. He found Yang Kai. Yi Xian, what do you want this time? Yang Kai asked. This time, it's a bloodline seed I found in a senior's cave mansion. Yi Xian took out a crystal-clear seed and handed it over to Yang Kai. A bloodline seed. When these 4 words entered Yang Kai's ears, it caused his body to tremble violently. With his current realm, he could condense everything he had learned into a bloodline seed, but the price he had to pay was that he would become an ordinary person. What are the effects of these bloodline seeds? Yang Kai asked. This bloodline seed can increase one's comprehension of sword-type martial arts by 10%, as well as increase one's strength by 10%. This one is of a higher grade. It can increase one's comprehension by 20%. Yi Xian handed over another bloodline seed. Hearing this, Yang Kai asked in shock, This isn't a martial arts seed? No, this is a special bloodline seed. City Lord Yang might not have heard of it before, but it does have such an effect. Yi Xian nodded. Yang Kai went silent. This was the first time he had seen this type of bloodline seed, so he couldn't help but be a little skeptical. If City Lord Yang doesn't believe me, you can find someone else. I can use this 10% bloodline seed as an experiment. Yi Xian endured the pain and said, No need, I'll experiment on my own. First, tell me, how much do you want for these 2 bloodline seeds? Yang Kai suddenly asked. In fact, he was also a sword user. If he could increase the power of his sword skills by 20%, it would be a huge boost to his strength. City Lord Yang, how much do you think it is? Yi Xian asked in return. If it really has the effect you say it does, I think that this 10% crystal is worth at least 100 million top-quality crystal stones, and this 20% crystal is probably worth more than 300 million top-quality crystal stones, Yang Kai estimated in his heart. Of course, this was the price on the Skywater continent. If it was the Bloodstone continent, it would be more than that. Sure. Yixian nodded. 400 million high-quality crystal stones was more than enough for him to break through to the heavenly core realm. In fact, he really didn't want to give away the bloodlines of the swordsmen and swordsmen. After all, he could give them to his friends in the future. All right, then I'll test it out myself. Xianxia took Yixian and left. Arriving at the back of the Myriad Pavilion, he swallowed the Sword Master bloodline. Immediately after, 2 golden rays of light shot out from his eyes. Swoosh! Xianxia took out a long sword and slashed toward the sky. A warrior at his level had a deep understanding of his own martial arts. The power of this slash had indeed increased by 20% compared to before. Good stuff. Xianxia cried out in surprise. He turned around and asked, Yixian, if I swallow this 10% crystal stone, will it? No, it won't have any effect. Yixian shook his head. Apart from him, everyone could only have one bloodline. Although a sword master was the advanced version of a sword master, it still wouldn't work. All right, then I'll keep this one for Chun. Xianxia kept the other bloodline seed. Then he took out 400 million top-quality crystal stones and threw them to Yixian. When Yixian put away all the big treasure chests, his spirit shook. He could finally break through to the heavenly core realm. Yixian, do you have any more of these bloodline seeds? Xianxia asked hastily. I still have some. Yixian nodded. The reason why these bloodline seeds could be exchanged was because Yixian had fused with them before. In simple words, he couldn't exchange for bloodlines that hadn't been fused with before. Previously, when he gave Adjudicator Song the Axe King bloodline seed, he had already fused with the Axe King bloodline. For his brother-in-law, he had sacrificed a bloodline window. One had to know, with his current situation, he couldn't even afford a bloodline expansion window. When Xianxia heard this, he immediately brought Yixian to his residence in the Myriad Pavilion. 100 Beast bloodline, Wind Chasing Leopard bloodline, 100 Flower bloodline, Sagittarius bloodline. Yixian told Xianxia the characteristics of these bloodlines one by one. This time, he was going to spend a lot of money. When Xianxia heard about the characteristics of these bloodlines, he was already thinking about how many top-quality crystal stones he would have to spend to buy them. However, he was also thinking that no matter how much he had to spend, he had to buy them all. If he sold them, he would definitely be able to get back what he had invested, and he would also be able to make a huge profit. This time, they talked for a full 2 hours. In the end, they decided on a price, 10 billion top-quality crystal stones. After reaching an agreement, Xianxia took out some purplish black stones and said, These are soul-condensing stones. They're the currency used by Spirit Realm 4th-stage powerhouses. One stone is equivalent to 100 million high-grade crystal stones. Here are 100 stones. Yixian took the soul-congealing stones and asked in confusion, Why are these things used as currency? Because Spirit Realm experts need to use these soul-congealing stones to cultivate. Every time I refine one, my soul strength will increase by a bit, and my strength will also increase accordingly. Xianxia explained. Is that so? Yixian took a soul-congealing stone and put it into his devouring space, then started devouring it. According to the increase in core, he could tell that this soul-congealing stone was equivalent to 100 million top-quality crystal stones. Then, thank you, Mayor Yang. Yixian put away the remaining 99 soul-congealing stones. Before this, he was worried about where he could find soul-congealing stones, but he didn't expect them to be the currency used between Spirit Realm experts. If this was the case, Song Sui Jing and Judge Song wouldn't have to worry about being stuck at the late Heavenly Core Realm. All right, you're going to participate in the Guangjin City Lord battle tomorrow, right? Xianxia suddenly asked. Yes. Yixian nodded his head. Then you better be careful. From what I know, the 3 old city lords of the upper 3 cities have all applied for the City Lord battle. Although they are restricted from fighting outside, they won't be restricted in the City Lord battle. Furthermore, there will be a large number of Heavenly Core warriors. Xianxia reminded. Yixian thanked. I will. The 3 old city lords of the upper 3 cities? So what? Once he broke through to the heavenly core realm, all of them would be hung up and beaten. Chapter 315. Island of Death. After leaving the Myriad Pavilion, Yixian returned to his own place. Song Sui-jing and Judge Song were still practicing their martial arts, while he locked himself in his room. He took out a soul congealing stone and started devouring it. Devour. Ding. The host has broken through to the heavenly core realm. After he had devoured 5 soul congealing stones, he finally heard the system's notification. Heavenly core realm. He had finally broken through. Chui Feng, I hope you don't run into me. If not, you'll die a horrible death. Yixian murmured in his mind. He still remembered the way Chui Feng talked to Song Sui-jing a few days ago. As a man who would seek revenge for the smallest grievance, how could he not take revenge? Slap, slap. Right after he broke through, Wei Zhentian, who was beside him, climbed onto his shoulder and kept patting him. What are you doing? You want to eat it too? Yixian took out a soul congealing stone. Wei Zhentian nodded his head. I can't give this to you. I'm going to devour myself. Wait a moment. Yixian devoured the rest of the soul congealing stones. After calculating, he had devoured a total of 100 soul congealing stones. Right now, he had more than 1 million soul congealing stones. Then he very generously exchanged 10,000 earthly weapons, which filled the entire room to the brim. When Wei Zhentian saw this, he immediately leapt towards them and started devouring them like crazy. Sigh. 100 soul congealing stones, just a little more, and I'll be able to break through to the initial heavenly core realm. Forget it. I'll wait until the mayor competition. Yixian shook his head. He estimated that if nothing unexpected happened, they would have no problem taking over Guangjin City. A day passed by in a flash. When the second day arrived, everyone in the Divine Land City had gathered. Yixian and the other 2 were among the crowd as well. After that, they headed towards the mayor's mansion. When they arrived in front of the mayor's mansion, they saw hundreds of people who were interested in Guangjin City. So many. All of them are at least at the heavenly core realm. I never expected there to be so many great warriors in the central province. Song Sui-jing couldn't help but sigh. There are a lot of experts from the 7 main cities. It seems that there are more than 200 people. Judge Song also felt the pressure. Xianxia also said helplessly, with so many people, it seems like there will be a bloody storm. Moreover, I'm afraid that the large group will be separated and carried out in small groups. Working in small groups? Yixian turned around. I remember that there was once a battle for the position of City Lord. At most, they would form a group of 3 and then be assigned to other places. If that's the case, we'll have to be separated, Zhang Shuahai explained. Oh, I see. Yixian nodded. If it was a group of 3, then he could guarantee that Song Sui-jing and Adjudicator Song would be by his side. Right at this moment, Zhang Shuahai suddenly saw some people in the crowd. He immediately whispered, besides Chui Feng from the Sun Hill City, the other 2 city lord from the upper 3 cities are here as well. This is really troublesome. Everyone followed his gaze, and they saw 2 old men. Both of them had ordinary looks, but they were both late heavenly core warriors, and they were only 1 step away from breaking through to the 4th stage of the spirit realm. Perhaps if they could obtain some soul-condensing pills, they would be able to break through to the spirit realm. However, not many people knew that soul-condensing pills were required to break through to the 4th realm of the spirit realm from the divine core realm. They all thought that it was just a normal breakthrough. Yixian, who was quietly standing there, suddenly felt something strange. He turned his head to look and discovered that Chui Feng from Yangling City was looking at them. His old eyes were filled with viciousness. If the men from the Divine Land City and Sun Hill City were to bump into each other, a fight would definitely break out. Everyone waited for a while, then more and more people arrived. Finally, a cloud suddenly appeared in the sky, blocking the sunlight. "Oh, look!" someone cried out in surprise. Everyone raised their heads and saw that it wasn't a cloud that was blocking the sunlight. It was a big guy. It's the Vice City Lord's heavenly core, Blue Moon Bird. Someone immediately recognized it. Yixian raised his head as well. Now, he wasn't envious of those flying mounts, because he had one too. After eating 10,000 high-rank earth weapons, Wei Zhentian had broken through to the earth core realm. If Yixian wanted to, he could directly help Wei Zhentian break through to the heavenly core realm. However, there was a small rule in the mayor's competition. No Xian beasts were allowed to participate. "Everyone, get on my back," a middle-aged man on the Blue Moon Bird shouted out. While he was speaking, the Blue Moon Bird slowly descended. "It's the Vice City Lord." After some people recognized him, they immediately jumped onto the back of the Blue Moon Bird. In less than 10 seconds, more than 200 people had jumped onto the back of the bird. After that, Yang Kai checked everyone's identity, then ordered the Blue Moon Bird to fly. "Vice City Lord, where are we going now?" someone asked curiously. Yang Kai slowly replied, "Out to sea." "What?" When these words came out, everyone on the back of the Blue Moon Bird was shocked. Wasn't it taking place on land? After a day, they finally understood. It turned out that they were on an island near the heavenly water continent. None of them had ever been to this island before. However, some of them had heard of it before. Vice City Lord, don't tell me this is the Death Island?" Someone asked timidly. "What, Death Island?" When they heard this name, many people immediately cried out in surprise. Yixian also asked Zhang Shuahai in surprise, "Senior, what is this Death Island?" Zhang Shuahai swallowed his saliva and said, "I thought this Death Island was just a legend. The reason why this island is called Death Island is because there is a Saint Beast on this island." "Saint Beast?" Song Sui Jing was startled. "Then if we go up there, won't we just be sending ourselves to our deaths?" "I'm not sure either." Zhang Shuahai shook his head. At this moment, Yang Kai, who was standing on the head of the Blue Moon Bird, suddenly turned his head and said, "Yes, this is the Death Island. In the middle of this island, there is a Strength Realm Blue Sea Flood Dragon. If any of you want to back out, you can say so now. If you suddenly change your mind, then you will have to swim back to the heavenly water continent by yourself." Everyone hesitated. This was a saint beast that could easily tear everyone here to pieces. However, they suddenly remembered that Vice City Lord Yang Kai didn't seem to be very fierce, so they thought that the Blue Sea Flood Dragon might be in a deep sleep. As long as they didn't make too much noise, it wouldn't be disturbed. Therefore, no one wanted to back out. Very good. Since no one wants to back out, then you could divide yourselves into groups. Each group can have a maximum of 3 people. After that, come and draw lots. When the time comes, I will put you on the island in order." Yang Kai said slowly. Chapter 316. Begin. 31. Yang Kai noted it down. There were more than 200 good people here, and there would definitely be some who were in groups of 2 or 1, but Yang Kai didn't care. Yi Xian and the others also walked over. Among them, Zhang Shuahai was in a group with his son, Zheng Yu, and the other 3 who had just broken through to the heavenly core realm were in another group. As for Yi Xian, he was in a group with Song Sui Jing and Adjudicator Song. Number 1. When Yi Xian saw the number on the piece of paper he had drawn, he couldn't help but feel speechless. "Yeah, our luck is really good," Song Sui Jing said with a smile. Although she was shocked that there was a saint beast on this island, as long as Yi Xian was here, even if there were 10 saint beasts on this island, she wouldn't be afraid. "Not bad. The first group to arrive on the island first, so you can go and find the City Lord's token first," Yang Kai said with a smile. Yi Xian let out a hollow laugh. Although he said so, who knew if they would be the first to die? After drawing their lots, they all retreated. Soon, everyone had finished drawing their lots. There were more than 100 groups out of the 210 people. Of course, some of the numbers were empty, because Yang Kai had prepared 200 lots. "That Chui Feng is number 99. He is a bit far from us," Yi Xian thought to himself. He had secretly noted down some people's numbers just now. Not only that, Zhang Shuahai's group was also quite far away, so they had to rely on themselves. While they were drawing lots, the island was getting bigger and bigger. Finally, the Blue Moon Bird stopped 1,000 meters away from the island. Listen carefully to what I'm going to say next. Yang Kai suddenly said in a loud voice, "There aren't many rules in the City Lord battle. First, originally, no Xian beasts are allowed to help, but since you're riding on my Blue Moon Bird this time, this rule has been removed. Second, There are no restrictions on killing on this island. If anyone wants to leave, they can jump into the sea and swim back. Third, when someone finds the City Lord's token, it will immediately release a purple light that soars into the sky. Moreover, it will release once every 10 minutes. As long as someone holds the City Lord's token for 2 hours, he will be the new City Lord of Guangjin City, and the contest will end there. Fourthly, there is a Strength Realm sacred beast, Oceanic Flood Dragon, in the center of the island. I don't know if he's sleeping or not. So, if you don't want to die, it's best not to make too much of a commotion in the center of the island. That's all I have to say. Now, we'll proceed according to the order. If anyone wishes to forfeit, feel free to say so. I can send you back. After Xianxia finished speaking, he ordered the Blue Moon bird to approach the island. But at this moment, rumble. Suddenly, a loud rumbling sound came from the horizon. Everyone turned their heads and saw a flood dragon emerging from the depths of the sea. It flipped over and dived back into the sea. Immediately, there was an uproar. Rest assured, it's not the flood dragon on the island, but I can remind you that there are many profound beasts in this sea, so it's not too late for you to give up now, Xianxia reminded again. But still, no one said anything. So what if it was a profound beast? All those who came here were at least at the heavenly core realm. Besides, humans were so small, as long as they weren't injured, they wouldn't attract the attention of the profound beasts in the deep sea. The Blue Moon bird flew forward for a while. Xianxia looked at Yixian and the other two and said, "Group number 1, I wish you all the best." Yixian nodded his head. After that, he jumped down with Song Sui Jing and the other two. It was only 100 meters in the air. It was a piece of cake for them. Xianxia, who was in the crowd, watched as Yixian and the other two left. He let out a sigh. He thought they were going to act together, but he didn't expect them to act in groups. At the same time, there was a figure who was looking at Yixian and the other two, but the look on his face was extremely vicious. He was the old city lord of Sun Hill City, Chui Feng. "Little brat, don't let me see you again, or else I'll skin you alive and kill your wife in front of you." Bang, bang, bang. On Death Island, 3 muffled sounds rang out. Yixian and the other two had successfully landed on the ground. After landing, Yixian raised his head and found that the Blue Moon bird had already flown into the distance. "So this is Death Island? It's so ordinary," Song Sui Jing said with a relaxed expression. "Little girl, don't be careless. There is a mysterious beast within 100 meters of us that has its eyes on us," Yixian said with a smile. "Is that so? Then I'll make sure it doesn't return," Song Sui Jing giggled. She took out the high-rank earth artifact, Ice Moon Sword, and slashed in a certain direction. A light blue slash cut through the air. After cutting down 3 thick trees, it cut an Earth Core realm leopard in half. Not bad, so it was discovered long ago. Yixian nodded his head in satisfaction. Next to him, Judge Song also took out his 2-meter-long flaming sun axe and said, "Younger brother-in-law, I don't think you're here just for the mayor's medallion, right?" "Yes, all those who came here to fight for the mayor's medallion are heavenly core warriors. Their combined value is more than all the territories in the lower 3 cities." Yixian nodded his head and said, "All right, I'm ready for a big fight." Judge Song shook his axe. Ever since he had merged with the Axe King's bloodline, his confidence had increased tremendously. He really wanted to find a heavenly core warrior and fight him. Without hesitation, the 3 of them started moving towards the direction where the Blue Moon bird had flown. Although this island was huge, there were more than 100 groups of people who were going to land. Therefore, if they kept moving towards the direction where the Blue Moon bird had flown, they might be able to find the second group. They moved with great speed. All the mysterious beasts that blocked their path were killed by Song Sui Jing and Judge Song. As for the corpses, they were all devoured by Yixian. After walking for about 5 minutes, they finally found the second group. "Yixian, do you want to kill them?" Judge Song asked. "It's up to you whether you want to kill them or not. We're going to steal them anyway." Yixian replied, "In this world, if you don't kill someone, someone else will kill you. Let's just kill them. Where are they?" Judge Song made his decision. This direction, about 1,000 meters away, there are 2 people. You can take one each. Yixian pointed in a direction. All right, sister, let's go. Judge Song took out his flaming sun axe and took the lead. Song Sui Jing quickly followed behind. In order to ensure their safety, Yixian had to protect them from behind. A distance of 1,000 meters. For these two heavenly core siblings, it took them less than 2 seconds to cross. Just as the two men in front of them realized what was going on, they were ambushed. Heaven-shaking slash. Judge Song immediately rushed forward and slashed at one of the middle-aged men. Song Sui Jing followed closely behind and slashed with his sword. Ambush! Both men immediately reacted. Judge Song's opponent was an early heavenly core warrior, and he was using a huge blade. He quickly raised his blade. Clang! Chapter 317. Experience. Although Judge Song had just broken through to the heavenly core realm, he was using a high-ranked Earth rank martial skill, and with the help of the Axe King's bloodline, this attack was not something an ordinary man could withstand. But this middle-aged man was at the initial heavenly core realm, and he was a body refiner. His strength was above Judge Song's, and both men were evenly matched. Indeed, he is weaker in terms of physique. But I'm not a pushover either. Overlord 36 slashes. Judge Song's eyes lit up. He raised the flaming sun axe and started slashing. On the other side, Song Sui Jing launched a sneak attack and killed the other heavenly core warrior in an instant. Right at this moment, she had already taken her opponent's storage ring. Brother, let me help you. Song Sui Jing held her long sword tightly and was about to step forward and help. No need. Let me handle this myself. Judge Song replied. Stinking brat, you're really arrogant. You dare challenge me. You're courting death. When the middle-aged man saw his comrade being killed, he was extremely angry. He immediately turned his anger into strength and started fighting back. Both he and Judge Song were using large-sized weapons, and they were competing with each other in terms of strength. Although Judge Song's physique was weaker, and his cultivation level was lower, he had the 30% boost from the Axe King's bloodline, and the flaming sun axe in his hand was a high-ranked Earth rank weapon. Therefore, he was able to make up for the difference. Yixian, who do you think will win? Brother or that guy? Song Sui Jing couldn't help but ask. Brother's Overlord 36 slashes is one of the best Earth rank martial skills. With the Axe King's bloodline, he has a strong understanding of this martial skill. I think that guy will at most be able to last until the 18th slash. Yixian commented. Are you kidding me? When the middle-aged man heard this comment, he immediately shouted out loudly. But right at this moment, Judge Song's 18th slash landed. Crack! After a crisp sound, the middle-aged man was directly cleaved in half by the Overlord's 18 slashes. His high-rank earthly weapon was forcibly severed. Yixian and Song Sui Jing were both stunned. To be able to cut a high-grade earthly tool in half, just how powerful was that? Yixian had the Myriad Beast bloodline. If he used the 8 Desolate Sword, he would be able to cut through a high-grade earthly weapon. However, Judge Song didn't have such a powerful physique. This is the Overlord's 36 slashes. It's an explosive martial skill. Combined with the flaming sun axe, that slash just now could have killed a green source giant at the early heavenly core realm. Yixian thought to himself in his mind. In any case, Judge Song's strength was not bad. Brother is indeed powerful. If I were to face him, I'm afraid it wouldn't be so easy to win, Song Sui Jing praised. Alas, it's a pity that my physique can't catch up with yours. I heard that the people of the Central Province have refined their physique for many years. Judge Song said helplessly. He took the other party's universe ring and threw it to Yixian. Don't worry, I have a great strength pill here. Eating one can temporarily double your strength. Yixian said with a smile. He took out a bottle of pills and threw it over to Judge Song. A Mortal Core Great Strength Pill was worth 5 Devour Crystals. An Earth Core Great Strength Pill was worth 10 times, which was 50 Devour Crystals. As for a Heavenly Core Great Strength Pill, it was worth 500 Devour Crystals. This bottle of Great Strength Pills was worth 5,000 Devour Crystals. But Yixian was a tycoon right now. He had 1 million Devour Crystals for him to spend, so 5,000 Devourer crystals was nothing to him. I never expected to find such a good item, but it's too boring to kill an opponent in an instant. I can't increase my strength, so I can only use it as a life-saving pill. Judge Song took the great strength pill and threw it into his universe ring. Of course, Yi Xian smiled. He took out the same bottle and gave it to Song Sui Jing. Besides that, he also exchanged some divine pills that could allow a heavenly core warrior to fully recover his core and gave them to both of them. In the fight, just now, Judge Song had used up half of his core. Now that he had these recovery pills, he could finally go all out. After that, the three of them continued their journey, looking for the third group. Along the way, Yi Xian checked the 2 universe rings. The middle-aged man who was cut in half by Judge Song just now was the sect chief of a sect in the central province, and he was quite rich. After absorbing the divine pills, there were about 20 million Devourer crystals, which was equivalent to 2,000 Devourer crystals. After running for a while, they finally met the third group. This group also consisted of 2 people. In order to increase his strength, Judge Song suggested not to ambush them, but to fight them head-on. Yo, it's the first group. TSK, 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 TSK. I had my eyes on this little girl just now, and I was thinking of looking for you guys. I didn't expect you to come knocking on my door. Let me see. Io, she's still a virgin. Not bad, a good start. A lecherous middle-aged man stared at Song Sui Jing, who was slowly walking towards him. Judge Song's face darkened. Little sister, I'll leave this guy to you. Song Sui Jing nodded her head. She wouldn't show any mercy to a man who coveted her beauty. Since both of you are interested in each other, let's do it. Right after the lecherous middle-aged man finished his words, Judge Song held the flaming sun axe in his hand and dashed forward. The battle only lasted for a second. Both men had just broken through to the heavenly core realm, and they couldn't withstand a single attack from the brother and sister duo. Both of them were instantly killed. Although all those who participated in the mayor's competition were at least heavenly core warriors, most of them had just broken through to the heavenly core realm. There were only 20 early heavenly core warriors and 3 late heavenly core warriors. If those who had just broken through to the heavenly core realm were to encounter Judge Song and Song Sui Jing, they would be instantly killed. As for Yi Xian, he was following behind the 2 bodyguards like a big boss. 8 early heavenly core warriors' wealth ranged from 1 million to 5 million. There were many early heavenly core warriors, and almost all of them had more than 10 million high-quality crystals. In less than half an hour, Yi Xian had obtained nearly 10,000 high-quality crystals. However, right after Judge Song killed the 4th early heavenly core warrior, a purple beam suddenly soared into the sky. That's the mayor's token has been found. Yi Xian raised his head and looked in a certain direction. The mayor's token has been found. That means everyone will gather there. This is a good opportunity. Song Sui Jing blinked her eyes and said, we have to go there. But let's not fight for the mayor's token for now. We don't want to become everyone's target. Yi Xian nodded his head and said. Right after that, all of them started running towards the purple beam. At that time, a chaotic battle would definitely break out. Judge Song's blood was boiling. With Yi Xian here, Song Sui Jing would definitely be fine, and he could finally go all out. Almost everyone saw the purple beam soaring into the sky. Just like Yi Xian, they all started running towards the same direction. Chapter 3:18. Lai Kong City's mayor dead. During the early stages of the mayor competition, the 3 of them focused on training. The brother and sister duo kept fighting, and Yi Xian kept earning a huge amount of wealth. Right now, the mayor competition had reached its climax. Every group had bumped into other groups, and every time they bumped into each other, it would be a fierce fight. Because of this, their wealth was slowly gathering together, and it would enter Yi Xian's pocket. 10 minutes later, the purple light appeared once again. Yi Xian and the other 2 brothers stopped and looked around. They realized that the purple light was still some distance away from them. Right at this moment, 3 figures suddenly entered Yi Xian's sensing range. There are 3 men coming from behind us. One is at the early heavenly core realm, and the other 2 are at the early heavenly core realm. Yixian immediately said. Hearing this, Adjudicator Song and Song Suijing immediately turn around. They had already discussed this beforehand. Under this situation, the early heavenly core warrior would be given to Adjudicator Song, and the one at the early heavenly core realm would be given to Song Suijing. A second later, they heard the footsteps as well. Without hesitation, they charged towards a trio. Bang! Both parties immediately started fighting. Yixian, who was following closely behind Song Suijing, glanced at the initial heavenly core warrior. Zheng Shuhai had secretly told him that the initial heavenly core warrior was the city lord of Raging Sky City in the lower 3 cities, Lu Ming. Now is the Guangjin city's city lord battle. If this Lu Ming dies here, wouldn't there be another city lord battle held? Or will Lai Kong City be included in the mayor competition this time? Yixian was guessing in his mind. Right at this moment, the mayor of Lai Kong City, Lu Ming, recognized Yixian and the other 2 brothers. "It's you guys," Lu Ming cried out in surprise. In the next moment, his expression changed because Song Suijing had already killed 2 of his subordinates. Adjudicator Song also recognized Lu Ming. He turned around and asked, "Yixian, kill." Yixian answered without hesitation. "All right." Judge Song didn't dare to act rashly and began to crazily attack. So what if he was an early heavenly core warrior? He had killed a lot of them. "Damn it, we've always minded our own business, so why do you want to kill me?" Lu Ming asked, gritting his teeth. "Are you kidding me? If the 3 of us were at the Earth Core realm, would you kill us?" Yixian asked in return. "If that's the case, then all of you can go to hell," Lu Ming shouted. His aura surged, and he actually burned his own Dan essence. Many heavenly core warriors knew how to ignite their core energy. It was a way to save their lives. However, the core essence that was burned could not be recovered. Instead, it had to be recultivated. In other words, after burning one's Jindan essence, it was possible for one's cultivation level to drop. Using this, one could gain a temporary boost. Judge Song had just unleashed the 9th slash, so its power wasn't that strong. Besides, Lu Ming was one of the strongest amongst all early heavenly core warriors. That's why it was hard to kill him. After pondering for a moment, Judge Song used his axe to force Lu Ming back and quickly swallowed a great strength pill. In an instant, his strength doubled. "Let's fight to our heart's content," Judge Song roared out. In the middle of the battlefield, both men were using all their strength. Yixian, who was watching from the sidelines, was also nervous. A battle of this level, he had to be cautious. If the situation wasn't good, he would intervene. But Judge Song didn't disappoint him. He successfully killed Lu Ming and only suffered some light injuries. Lai Sky City's city lord, Lu Ming, dead. After Lu Ming died, Yixian took a big step forward and took the storage ring. It was really good. It was equivalent to more than 1,000 Devourer crystals. However, not long after Lu Ming died, Yang Kai's voice sounded out from the sky. "Lai Sky City's city lord is dead. Lai Sky City will be the main city for the city lord battle." This voice entered everyone's ears. Lai Sky City, Guangjin City. As long as they could get the city lord token, they would become the city lord of both cities. At this moment, everyone went crazy. Sure enough, I'm afraid they're going to kill until their eyes turn red. Yixian couldn't help but say, "Hong Long Long." Just as his voice fell, a loud rumbling sound came from all directions. It seems that they're starting to fight to the death. Song Suijing said slowly after hearing these sounds, "Yixian, when are you going to compete for the City Lord token?" Judge Song asked. "It's about time. We'll get the City Lord token and let them come to us one by one." Yixian replied. After a while, the purple light of the City Lord token appeared again. Immediately, the 3 of them rushed in that direction. This time, Yixian personally made a move and killed all those people he met. When they landed on the island, there were more than 200 people, but now, in less than an hour, there were only a few dozen people left. The wealth of 200 people was piled up on these people. Even if they couldn't get the City Lord token, some people could still make a lot of money. The City Lord token would light up once every 10 minutes, and it would light up for a minute each time. Yi Xian and the other two men rushed towards the purple light. They had a feeling that this time, the purple light didn't move. Someone must be fighting for it. Sure enough, when they arrived, they saw a few figures fighting at the edge of an underground cave. Damn, all the old city lords of the upper three cities are here. Yi Xian recognized him with a single glance. Right now, the city lord token was in Chui Feng's hand, and the other two city lords were attacking him together. But there were three masked warriors helping Chui Feng. They were the three monsters of Secluded Mountain who were recruited by Sun Hill City. 6 men were fighting fiercely. It was a spectacular scene, and no one dared to get close to them. Yi Xian knew that there must be a lot of people watching, waiting for an opportunity to strike. Yi Xian, what should we do? Judge Song couldn't help but ask. A late Heavenly Core warrior was not someone he could handle. Let them fight for it slowly. We'll go take care of the others. After saying that, Yi Xian took the lead and rushed out. He was ready to find trouble with the others. Just as he expected, there were a lot of people hiding in the woods around this open space. Although they were hiding, Yi Xian could clearly sense them. These people were all killed by Yi Xian with ease. On the other side, the 6 men were still fighting at the edge of the underground cave. Chui Feng was still holding the city lord token, and loud rumbling sounds could be heard everywhere, even into the underground cave. But right at this moment, not good. This underground cave is where the Azure Sea Serpent is hiding. Let's go. Chui Feng suddenly felt that something was wrong. He quickly shouted out and rushed towards the woods. The other 2 city lords looked at each other. Their hearts trembled as well, but they still chased after Chui Feng. Suddenly, a huge figure came out from the underground cave. One of the 3 monsters didn't manage to dodge in time, and was grabbed by a huge claw and instantly exploded. Chapter 319. City Lord's Command. It's a blue sea flood dragon. Someone in the forest cried out in alarm. They paused for a moment and then ran away. Yi Xian, who was in the forest, was also shocked. He had forgotten the name of this island. Death Island. Previously, Xianxia said that there was a Strength Realm blue sea flood dragon at the center of Death Island. He also specifically reminded them not to make too much noise at the center of the island. Otherwise, they might wake up the blue sea flood dragon. There is no doubt that the battle between Chui Feng's group of 6 was too intense and attracted the blue sea flood dragon. There really is a saint beast. Judge Song was also shocked. Fortunately, the sea serpent dragon was chasing after them with its back facing them. A Strength Realm saint beast. Even if the 3 city lords join forces, they won't be able to defeat it, right? Song Suijing looked worried because the city lord's command was in Chui Feng's hands, and Chui Feng's group was being chased by the blue sea flood dragon. However, when Yi Xian saw this scene, his eyes suddenly bloomed with a strange light. He grabbed Wei Zhenqian and said, "Little Tian, turn into a big bird." Wei Zhenqian was a little confused. After hearing this, he reluctantly began to collapse and enlarge his body, turning into a large stone statue that could accommodate 3 people and flew into the sky. The previous City Lord's battle didn't allow the assistance of Xian beasts, but this time, Yangkai deliberately removed this restriction, so Yi Xian dared to release Wei Zhenqian. Wei Zhenqian, who had just entered the Earth Core realm, wasn't strong enough, but he could still fly. He carried Yi Xian's group of 3 and flew 500 meters up in the air. Along the way, the 3 saw a huge flood dragon chasing after the cultivators. Huh. That flood dragon didn't chase after Chui Feng and went after another person, Song Suijing said in surprise. Good, my chance has come. Yi Xian's eyes flashed, and he ordered, "Little Tian, fly 500 meters higher." The Azure Sea Serpent chased after someone else, while Chui Feng ran in the opposite direction, which happened to be Yi Xian's location. At that moment, Yi Xian directly jumped down. Then, he sped up and landed on the ground in 2 seconds. At the same time, he sensed an uninvited guest within the range of his senses. He quickly chased after him and stood in front of him. Chui Feng, who was holding the City Lord token, was also startled when he saw someone suddenly appear. However, when he saw the person's face clearly, his eyes widened in shock. "It's you?" Chui Feng shouted in shock. "That's right, it's me. Old man, hand over the city lord's token if you know what's good for you, and I'll leave you with an intact corpse. Yixian cut straight to the point. What a sharp-tongued brat. I didn't look for you, but you came to me yourself. Today, I will avenge the 4 of them. Cui Feng shouted angrily and charged towards Yixian with a long sword in hand. TSK, TSK, you should count your grandson in, young Master Yongling. Yixian took out the 8 desolate sword and sneered. Cui Feng's mind trembled when he heard what Yixian said, and his body stopped moving for a brief moment. However, this flaw was exploited by Yixian. 8 desolate wind formation. The 8 desolate sword instantly broke apart and attacked Cui Feng from 8 different directions. Not good. Cui Feng's expression changed. He had heard about Yixian's ability before this, so he immediately swung his long sword and deflected all the sharp blades. In terms of overall strength, Cui Feng was actually stronger than Cui Linjiang. However, Yixian was no longer the same young man who had just broken through to the heavenly core realm. He had broken through to the heavenly core realm. The 8 desolate sword would become stronger when facing a strong opponent. After Yixian broke through to the heavenly core realm, the 8 desolate wind formation and 8 desolate heavenly quake sword were the same. After just 2 rounds, Cui Feng couldn't hold on any longer. No, this is impossible. Cui Feng shouted out loudly. But the 8 sharp blades didn't show any mercy. They slashed through his body with lightning speed and instantly cut him into pieces. Plop! Cui Feng's head fell onto the floor, and his eyes were wide open. After the head was cut off, the brain wouldn't die immediately. It would still be conscious for a period of time. Therefore, Cui Feng saw his own body being cut into pieces. What was the worst way to die? It wasn't to die without a complete corpse. It was to see his own body being cut into pieces like Cui Feng. Yixian walked over to Cui Feng and collected all his storage rings. After that, he poured all the items into his devouring dimension and started devouring them. Not bad. There are 6,000 devouring crystals. This old man has killed quite a lot of people. Yixian nodded his head in satisfaction. Then he picked up the ordinary-looking token. City Lord token. As long as I hold this token for an hour, I'll be the City Lord of Lai Sky City and Guangjin City. Yixian smiled. At this time, Wei Zhentian suddenly descended from the sky. Ah, is this the City Lord token? Song Sui Jing rushed over and took the token in her hand. Suddenly, the City Lord token emitted a purple light that soared into the sky. It turned out that the 10 minutes were up. Yixian, what should we do next? Adjudicator Song couldn't help but ask. Yixian directly replied, leave this place and wait for them to deliver themselves to us. Right now, he was the owner of the City Lord token. However, he didn't want to end it so quickly, so he thought of a way. As long as he threw the City Lord token to Song Sui Jing or Adjudicator Song after half an hour, the time would be refreshed. However, there was a price to pay. What if the purple light attracted the Azure Sea Serpent? Moreover, they still haven't seen Zheng Shuahai and the others. If this continues, they may be in danger. In the end, Yixian decided to end this battle for the position of City Lord. He kept the City Lord token in his arms, then led Song Sui Jing and Adjudicator Song to the edge of the island. During this time, many people came to find them, but they were all killed by Song Sui Jing and Adjudicator Song. Well, we'll wait here for now. Wei Zhentian, you watch from above. If the Azure Sea Serpent comes in our direction, inform me. After this matter is settled, you will be rewarded. Yixian said. In the sky, Wei Zhentian's eyes lit up, and he quickly rose to the sky to investigate. There were continuous rumbling sounds in the distance, allowing him to accurately find the location of the Azure Sea Serpent. At this time, half an hour had passed since Yixian took the City Lord token. In this half an hour, his harvest was much more than before. He estimated that as long as he swallowed 1 or 200 million top-grade crystal stones, he would be able to break through to the small Earth core realm. However, at this time, a few heavyweights finally came to find him. When Yixian saw their faces, he couldn't help but laugh. I didn't expect that you guys would get it. Chapter 320. It was over. Yixian had seen this old man before. He was the city lord of the second-ranked city, Wild Goose City, Suhanhai. As for the two masked men, they were two of the three monsters of Secluded Mountain. Amazing. After seeing two of the three monsters of Secluded Mountain, Yixian couldn't help but praise them. The three monsters of Secluded Mountain were recruited by Cui Linjiang, but now they were standing behind Suhanhai, which meant they had switched sides. Young man, you've had the City Lord's token for half an hour now. Isn't it time for you to hand it over? Suhanhai squinted his eyes and said, If I hand it over, can you spare our lives? Yixian smiled again. Suhanhai replied coldly, No, I'll at most leave you with a complete corpse. If that's the case, then come and take it yourself. Yixian took out the City Lord's token from his chest. You're courting death. When Suhanhai saw the City Lord's token, he immediately dashed towards it. More than 100 men had come here for this City Lord's token, and even he had nearly died under the claws of the Azure Sea Serpent. If he could obtain this City Lord's token, then his Su family would be able to control 3 main cities. At that point of time, his benefits would be multiplied. Besides, controlling 3 main cities in one family was something that had never happened before in the Zhong province. But he had chosen the wrong target. Deadly wind formation. A violent wind suddenly appeared. While Suhanhai was shocked, he was able to block the first round of attacks. But when the second round arrived, just like Cui Feng, he was cut into countless pieces. The two masked men behind him reacted quickly as well. They immediately turned around and ran away. Trying to run? Yixian, who was standing on the same spot, narrowed his eyes. Then he unleashed 8 sharp blades and killed the 2 men in an instant. Seeing the 3 men being killed by Yixian in an instant, Song Sui-jing, who was standing behind him, was shocked as well. With your current strength, you should be invincible amongst all divine core warriors, right? Yixian put away the 3 men's storage rings and said, But I'm still far from being able to face that Azure Sea Serpent. He saw the Azure Sea Serpent just now. It was a saint beast at the strength realm. With his current strength, he was no match for it. What? Sea Serpent? Sea Serpent? Song Sui-jing immediately panicked when he heard this. Don't worry. After Yixian said that, he started to check the contents of a universe ring. He didn't care about anything else and directly swallowed everything inside. Ding, the host broke in 7 heavenly. Yixian couldn't help but smile when he heard the system's notification. What? Song Sui-jing seemed to have sensed something and carefully sensed it. 7 is Serpent, the broken sea serpent treasure is for Black God's God. This, Song Sui-jing was shocked. 5 seconds ago, Yixian had just broken through to the heavenly core realm, but now, 5 seconds later, he had broken through. What kind of freak was this? My method of breaking through is different from yours. All right, let's wait here for half an hour. Yixian said. After that, all they had to do was wait here. Every 10 minutes, the mayor's token would shoot out a purple beam that soared into the sky, leading the others to this location. When these people saw the 3 young men, they would rush forward without any hesitation. But all of them were killed by Song Sui-jing or Adjudicator Song. Just now, when Yixian and the other 2 men were watching from the sky, the Azure Sea Serpent was chasing after a late heavenly core warrior who was also the last mayor of the upper 3 cities. Perhaps he was killed by the Azure Sea Serpent's claws. In other words, there were no late heavenly core warriors on this island right now. Right now, 50 minutes had passed since Yixian took over the mayor's token, and the 5th purple beam had disappeared. I don't think anyone will dare to come here. They all think the mayor's token is in Cui Feng's hands. Song Sui-jing sat on the edge of the cliff and said while looking at the ocean in front of them. I think so. Yixian's mood was heavy. It had been a long time, but he still hadn't seen the 6 men from the Divine Land City. He was afraid that something bad had happened to them, but he knew that Zhang Shuahai wasn't dead. If not, this would be the battle of the 3 cities. Soon, the 10 minutes had passed. Then, Yang Kai's voice sounded out from the sky. The battle of the City Lord's token is over. After hearing this voice, the remaining people on the island all smiled. Yixian raised his head and saw the blue moon bird slowly descending. He knew that the blue moon bird had always been above his head. After all, Xianxia had to follow the mayor's token. Congratulations. Xianxia stood on the blue moon bird's head and cupped his fist towards Yixian. Thank you, City Lord Yang. Yixian returned the gesture. After that, the three of them jumped onto the blue moon bird. Xianxia rode on the blue moon bird and circled around the island, picking up everyone. The city lord of the Divine Land City, Xianxia, wasn't dead, and so was his son, Zhengyu. Their harvest this time was pretty good, and Xianxia had even broken through to the late heavenly core realm. But the other three men were nowhere to be seen. Perhaps they had met with some mishap. In this battle of the city lord's token, a lot of people had died. Originally, there were more than 200 men, but now there were less than 30 left. But those who were left had a lot of harvests as well. Strange, what happened to Chui Feng and the other two men and the Azure Sea Flood Dragon? Someone asked curiously. They must have been killed by the Azure Sea Flood Dragon. That Azure Sea Flood Dragon is gone too. Could it have returned to the underground cave? That's too scary. The Saint Beast is too strong. It killed one of the three monsters of your mountain with just a claw. Luckily, it wasn't that fast, or else we would have been killed by half. The survivors were secretly rejoicing. All right, who got the city lord's token in the end? Finally, someone remembered this matter. At this moment, Xianxia turned around and said, Yixian, from now on, you are the city lord of Guangjin City and Lai Sky City. When everyone heard this, they followed his gaze and looked at Yixian. What? He is the new city lord. He's so young. How did he get the city lord's token? Did he get lucky? Shoo, the two men next to him are both heavenly core warriors. Even City Lord Yang's son, Yang Chun, who is the leader of the Central State's 4 young masters. I think he's even stronger than them. So what? Does this mean that they know how to manage such a big territory? Hearing these people's discussion, Yixian smiled lightly and said, Thank you, City Lord Yang. All right, there's no one here. Let's go back. Xianxia said and prepared to send Yixian and the others back to the first main city. However, right at this moment, City Lord Yang, please wait. Yixian suddenly called out. What's wrong? Chapter 321. Challenging a Saint Beast alone, City Lord Yang. Can I ask the blue moon bird to fly to the center of the island? I have some matters to attend to, Yixian replied. As soon as he said this, Song Suijing immediately cried out in alarm. Yixian, on the side, Adjudicator Song also reacted and his complexion changed. Don't worry, I know what I'm doing. Trust me, Yixian comforted. Although he said so, Song Suijing still looked at him with a worried expression. Xianxia paused for a moment. He felt that something was wrong, and he had a guess in his heart. This little brat, could it be? Xianxia thought to himself, then nodded, all right. Immediately, he ordered the blue moon bird to fly to the center of the island. After a while, they arrived above the cave. Is this the flood dragon's lair? A group of people poked their heads out of the cave. Senior Yang, please wait a moment. As Yixian spoke, he directly jumped down from a height of several hundred meters. Moreover, he jumped into the catacombs. Everyone was frightened, but in the next moment, they saw a pair of wings condense on Yixian's back. Let me see how powerful your Saint Beast is. Yixian was still falling. He directly took out the Bahuang sword and aimed it at the dark cavern to attack. Boom, boom, boom. The sword slammed into the cave's stone walls, knocking down countless of them. The group of people on the back of the blue moon bird were shocked. What is this brat doing? Is he trying to lure the sea flood dragon out? No, he's going to challenge the sea flood dragon alone. He's courting death. Even the old city lord of the original city was killed by the sea flood dragon. What is he going to do? Everyone cast a strange look at Yixian. As far as they were concerned, Yixian was courting death. On the other side, Song Suijing and the others held their breaths and watched with worried expressions. Was it really possible for a divine core warrior to challenge a strength realm Saint Beast? At this moment, a huge fellow quickly crawled out of the catacombs. It was the Azure Sea Dragon. The sea serpent dragon was enormous. It was at least 100 meters long from head to tail. Its body was covered with a layer of dark blue scales, and each scale was bigger than Yixian. Yi Xian looked at the sea flood dragon and quickly retreated a few steps. He held the 8 desolate sword in one hand and looked at the sea flood dragon vigilantly. Sure, this brat wants to challenge the sea flood dragon alone. Everyone on the back of the blue moonbird was shocked. Kaiyang also watched with a dignified expression. He was already prepared to take action. Roar! The azure sea flood dragon crawled out of the cave and roared at Yi Xian. The surging waves of air blew away a large portion of the forest behind Yi Xian. Right at this moment, the sea flood dragon suddenly turned around and looked into Xianxia's eyes. It had a feeling that Yi Xian was nothing to worry about, but there was an extremely powerful aura in the air. However, when Yi Xian faced the sea flood dragon, the 10,000 beast bloodline in his body started boiling. What a powerful pressure! If there was an Earth Core warrior here, I'm afraid he would be unable to move at all. Yi Xian thought to himself. This time, he really wanted to see how strong this sea flood dragon was, because he needed a portion of dragon blood. Dragon blood. That's right, dragon blood. When he was in the Great Tang Dynasty, he broke through to the mortal core realm, and at the same time, he upgraded his bloodline to a high rank. After breaking through to the heavenly core realm, he discovered a problem. In order to upgrade his 10,000 beast bloodline to a beast king bloodline, he didn't need a huge amount of blood essence. He needed 3 portions of dragon blood. Although the flood dragon had the word dragon in its name, Yi Xian didn't know if the flood dragon's blood counted as dragon blood. Therefore, he wanted to find out. If the flood dragon's blood counted as dragon blood, then he would be able to upgrade his 10,000 beast bloodline to a beast king bloodline as soon as possible. Roar! The sea flood dragon let out a loud roar as it dashed towards Yi Xian. It stretched out its front claw, trying to crush Yi Xian. Although the strength realm holy beasts were very strong, Yi Xian had seen the speed of the azure sea flood dragon just now. He estimated that after breaking through to the minor heavenly core realm, he should be able to dodge this attack. I'm definitely not its match in terms of strength. That's why I can only rely on my speed. Yi Xian thought for a moment. Then he moved his body and dodged the claw attack. After that, he arrived below the sea flood dragon's abdomen. 8 desolate wind, killing formation, heavenly charge. The 8 desolate sword instantly broke apart and formed into a sharp cone. Then it drilled towards the top of the sea flood dragon's head. Crack! There weren't any scales on the sea flood dragon's abdomen. But even so, Yi Xian's heavenly charge had no effect. As expected of a saint beast, Yi Xian thought to himself. Once again, he unleashed the heavenly charge and attacked the same spot. The sea flood dragon felt an itch in its abdomen, so it immediately turned around and grabbed Yi Xian with its claw. Swoosh! Yi Xian was extremely fast. His claw once again grabbed onto the sea flood dragon's afterimage. 8 desolate wind, killing formation, heavenly charge. Yi Xian once again unleashed his most powerful attack. After unleashing the heavenly charge 3 times, he still couldn't break through the sea flood dragon's defense. As for the Dan essence within Yi Xian's body, it was almost exhausted. He quickly swallowed a pill, and his core energy was instantly restored to its peak condition. After that, he continued attacking the sea flood dragon's abdomen. Right at this moment, those men on the back of the azure bird were so shocked that they couldn't say anything. They thought Yi Xian was just courting death, but they never expected that Yi Xian actually had the ability to fight a saint beast. The sea flood dragon was holding the life of a late heavenly core warrior. But when they saw the bewildered expression on the sea flood dragon's face, they didn't know what to say. They just watched quietly. This guy's speed, although it can't compare to the physical strength realm, it has already surpassed any ordinary late heavenly core warrior. If he breaks through to the physical strength realm, then Xianxia was also thinking in his mind. Suddenly, there was a huge commotion below them. Xianxia squinted his eyes and looked up. Then he realized that the sea flood dragon had gone crazy. Yi Xian had been hiding under its abdomen and attacking it, and since it couldn't catch him, it was flying around in anger. TSK. Luckily, I have that 10% increase in movement speed. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to keep up with you. Yi Xian, who was underneath the sea flood dragon, murmured to himself. But from the beginning until now, he had used the heavenly charge more than 10 times, and he was attacking the same spot. Even so, he still couldn't break through the sea flood dragon's skin. Looks like I have to wait until I break through to the late heavenly core realm. Xian thought to himself. His current cultivation level was still too low, and if he broke through again, not only would his core energy increase, his 8 Desolate Sword and 2 other trump cards would also increase. Chapter 322. The City Lord, Xian. Forget it. I'll forget about it this time. I'll come back after I break through. Xian thought about it and decided to forget about it. Then he escaped from the azure sea serpent's tail like a bolt of lightning and leaped into the cave. He instantly condensed a pair of wings and flew into the cave. The azure sea serpent paused for a moment before it began to chase around the cave. When Xianxia saw this from above, he also ordered the blue moon bird to descend and catch Xian. Asterisk roar. Asterisk the azure sea serpent let out a roar. Its intelligence was no less than that of humans. If it could speak, it would probably curse all 18 generations of Xian's ancestors. Are you F** King toying with me? Xianxia, who was standing on the back of the blue moon bird, exchanged a glance with the azure sea serpent, then ordered the blue moon bird to rise again. The azure sea serpent stared at them, wishing it could grow a pair of wings and chase after them. The blue moon bird rose into the sky and flew toward the heavenly water continent. After Xian returned to the blue moon bird's back, he breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, Xianxia was there. Otherwise, the azure sea serpent would have chased him all over the streets. I didn't expect your strength to improve so quickly. Xianxia looked at Xian and couldn't help but say. Xian heard this and grinned. More than half a month ago, he almost died at Chui Linjiang's hands. However, more than half a month later, he could actually fight against a Saint Beast-level azure sea serpent. This was truly shocking. At this moment, he also felt the expressions of the people on the back of the blue moon bird. Almost all of them were looking at him as if he was a monster. Xian, you're too amazing. Song Sui Jing threw herself into Xian's arms in front of so many people. Her little face was full of pride. She was showing everyone that she was Xian's woman. What a pity! Xian shook his head. That azure sea flood dragon was full of treasures. Dragon tendons were one of the materials for crafting heaven artifact bows and arrows. Dragon meat could increase a martial artist's physical strength. If dragon bones could be ground into powder, they could also be used as an alchemy material. In addition, there was also dragon skin, dragon claws, dragon whip, and so on. However, Xian had made up his mind. He would kill this sea serpent dragon after breaking through. Although Kai Yang was surprised by Xian's strength, for some reason, he didn't ask too much. Soon, the blue moon bird returned to the heavenly water continent and flew back to the first main city. Many forces had gathered in the first main city. They were all waiting for the arrival of the new city lord. They were all here to make connections. The blue moon bird slowly descended, and before it even touched the ground, someone asked loudly, City Lord Yang, who became the city lord of Guangjin City this time? That's right, who obtained the city lord token. Is it Yangling City's city lord Chui? Kai Yang stood on the head of the blue moon bird and turned to look at Xian. The latter also understood and came forward. Then Kai Yang replied, He is the new city lord of Guangjin City. At the same time, he is also the new city lord of Lai Sky City because the city lord of Lai Sky City, Lu Ming, died in the city lord battle. What? When these words spread, all the 1,000 people here were shocked. Chui Linjiang was also among them. When he didn't find his father on the back of the blue moon bird, his heart trembled. If he didn't come back, it meant that he died in the city lord battle. Impossible. My father is stronger than me. How could he be taken away by this little brat and even die? Chui Linjiang couldn't believe it. City Lord Yang, what about the 3 city lords? What about the others? Someone asked again. Kai Yang replied silently. They're all dead. Those who didn't come back all died over there. This answer left Chui Linjiang completely dumbfounded. Sure enough, my father has died. This time, The City Lord battle was personally chosen by the first City Lord, which is the Island of Death. Before the battle began, I gave them 2 chances to forfeit, but they didn't cherish it. Kai Yang shook his head. Impossible, my father can't have died. A middle-aged man jumped out. He was the City Lord of Fallen Goose City, Su Hanhai's son. Kai Yang's face sank, and a flying dragon condensed in an instant. He shouted, "So, are you questioning my words?" When a middle-aged man saw the flying dragon, he forced himself to swallow his words and hurriedly cupped his fists. "City Lord Yang, I'm sorry." Without waiting for him to speak, Yang Kai continued, "All right, that's all for the City Lord battle. From now on, Yi Xian will be the City Lord of Guangjin City and Lai Sky City." The City Lord of the 2 main cities was the same person. This had happened before in the history of the Central State. However, this was the first time such a young City Lord had ever happened. No one had high hopes for Yi Xian, but since Yi Xian was able to stand out from over 200 Heavenly Core warriors, he definitely had the strength. After that, Kai Yang left. After that, all the family representatives from all over the Central State came up to Yi Xian and gave him gifts, trying to establish a good relationship with him. Yi Xian hated these gifts the most, but surprisingly, Song Sui Jing liked them very much, so she was the one to receive the gifts. As for Cui Linjiang and the other 2 city lords, they left angrily. Cui Linjiang glared at Yi Xian with hatred. He had a few guesses before this, but he never thought it would be Yi Xian who took the city lord position. This meant that he couldn't attack Yi Xian. This matter had come to an end. Yi Xian had taken over Guangjin City and Lai Sky City. Therefore, he had to go to these 2 cities and take over the City Lord Mansion. Of course, before that, he gave Kai Yang a list of names. There were only 2 names on the list, Song Sui Jing and Adjudicator Song. From now on, the 3 city lords of the upper 3 cities couldn't attack Yi Xian and the other 2. This was the rule set by the first city lord. If anyone violated this rule, they would be killed. Before leaving, Kai Yang gave Yi Xian a Heavenly Core mount, allowing him to travel to Guangjin City quickly. After the City Lord of Guangjin City died, Kai Yang sent a group of strong warriors to occupy the City Lord Mansion. When Yi Xian jumped down from the mount, an old man immediately came up to him. "Greetings, City Lord. I am the Pavilion Master of Guangjin City's Myriad Pavilion, Song Hung. All those unrelated to this matter have been driven out of the City Lord's mansion." The old man said directly. Wow, the news spread really fast. Song Sui Jing, who was standing behind Yi Xian, was surprised. "You must be from the City Lord's mansion." My Myriad Pavilion has a special communication method. That's why we were able to receive news so quickly," Song Hung said with a smile. In fact, Yi Xian didn't really want to be the City Lord. He was only pulled over by Zhang Shuahai and the others. Originally, Zhang Shuahai thought they would be fighting for power, so he negotiated with Yi Xian to split it 50-50ths. But after going to Death Island, Zhang Shuahai completely forgot about it. Chapter 323. Fall. After becoming the City Lord, I can purchase forging and alchemy materials without restraint. I can also purchase them from other cities. No wonder there are so many people vying for the position of City Lord. Yi Xian thought for a moment before following Song Hung in. Song Hung acted as the steward for the time being. He first brought Yi Xian and the other 2 to a hidden place in the City Lord's mansion. According to him, Yi Xian and the other 2 knew that this was the treasury of the City Lord's mansion. After the City Lord of Guangjin City died, we immediately received orders to occupy the City Lord's mansion. Therefore, everything in this treasury is still here. Song Hung explained. Although it was called a treasury, it was actually just a small room with more than 10 interspatial rings inside. Yi Xian checked the interspatial rings and poured everything into the devouring space. Not bad, not bad. Altogether, there are 50 million top-grade crystals. Yi Xian nodded with satisfaction. He couldn't ask for too much. After all, this was only Guangjin City and not Sun Hill City. Yi Xian, now that you're the City Lord, how are you going to manage it? Song Sui Jing couldn't help but ask. Yi Xian was stumped by this question. He loved to be a hands-off boss. Brother, are you interested? Yi Xian suddenly turned his head with a smile. You want me to be the Vice City Lord? Forget it. I'm not interested. Judge Song shook his head. In that case, we can only return to the Soaring Heaven Mansion and ask for help. Yixian said helplessly. At this time, Song Hung suddenly said, City Lord, I can take care of it for a while. Okay, then help me collect some things, Yixian said and took out a pen and paper to write a lot of names. Then, he handed it to Song Hung and said, send this to all the major cities. I have also written down the price. Take as much as you can. First, take 50 million top-grade crystals. Although Song Hung was surprised, he didn't ask and left directly. After that, Yixian brought Song Sui-jing and Adjudicator Song to Laikong City. He wondered how many materials he would be able to purchase from the territories of the two main cities. After settling things in Lai Sky City, Yixian returned to Guangjin City. He had already sent people to the Soaring Sky Mansion to invite some of his senior and junior brothers who were good at management back. As for Song Sui-jing and Judge Song, they continued to cultivate. They originally thought that they would be able to close the gap between them and Yixian, but they didn't expect that the gap was still so far. Therefore, after taking a few Xian Beast cores, they began to cultivate. I wonder, when they come out from their secluded cultivation, will they be at the initial Heavenly Core realm or the profound Heavenly Core realm? However, just as they began their closed-door cultivation, in the City Lord's mansion of Yangling City in the Central State. Damn it, even Father has fallen. How is that kid still alive? The City Lord of Sun Hill City, Chui Linjiang, was cursing loudly in his own residence. Just now, he had gone to the Myriad Pavilion to investigate, and he found out that his father was really dead, and so was his son. But when he tried to find out who killed Chui Feng and young Master Yangling, he found out that he would need an astronomical amount of supreme grade crystals to find out. That was why he was so angry. After pondering for a while in his residence, he went out again. This time, he went to the Myriad Pavilion again. He went straight to the Pavilion Master of Yangling City's Myriad Pavilion and entrusted him with a task. City Lord Chui, are you sure you want to entrust me with the task of destroying the Soaring Sky Mansion? The Pavilion Master of Yangling City's Myriad Pavilion asked in surprise. Yes, how much do you need? Chui Linjiang nodded his head. I'll have to ask my superiors. After saying that, the Pavilion Master of Yangling City's Myriad Pavilion left. Not long after that, he came back and reported a number. 1 trillion supreme grade crystals. This number almost scared Chui Linjiang to death. 1 trillion supreme grade crystals? What a joke. As the City Lord of Yangling City, one of the upper 3 cities, Chui Linjiang only had a little over 100 million supreme grade crystals. But to destroy the Soaring Sky Mansion, he needed 1 trillion. Are you kidding me? That Yixian is the City Lord of 2 main cities, but the Soaring Sky Mansion doesn't even have a single Heavenly Core warrior. Are you sure you're not wrong? Chui Linjiang asked in surprise. Previously, there were 4 early Heavenly Core warriors in the Yangling City's Mayor's Mansion, but all of them died in the Heavenly Yuan sect. 3 of them were killed by Yixian himself. After that, he spent a huge amount of money to hire the 3 monsters of Secluded Mountain, but they all died on the Island of Death. After hearing about this, all the Heavenly Core warriors in his mansion left right away. That was why he didn't have anyone he could use right now. The price was given by my superiors. Even I don't know why it's so high. But I can give you a friendly reminder. The Supreme Elder and Sect Chief of the Soaring Sky Mansion have both broken through to the early Heavenly Core realm. The Pavilion Master of Yangling City's Myriad Pavilion said, they're just early Heavenly Core warriors. Chui Linjiang let out a cold snort. He didn't put them in his eyes, then he stood up and left. Since the Myriad Pavilion didn't want to do anything, then he would do it himself. After returning to the Mayor's Mansion, he summoned his rock and flew towards the Soaring Sky Mansion. He couldn't let this go. If he didn't get his revenge, he might even have an inner demon in his heart. Revenge. I want revenge. A few days later, he flew back to the Soaring Sky Mansion from Yangling City. It was nighttime. Chui Linjiang stood on the back of the rock and looked down at the brightly lit Soaring Sky Mansion. He was filled with anger. But Just as he was about to dive down and slaughter everyone in the soaring sky mansion, he suddenly saw a figure flying up into the sky. What? Chui Linjiang was startled. He squinted his eyes and looked up. He found that there was indeed a figure about 100 meters in front of him. Could it be a profound beast? He made a guess in his mind. Then he immediately unleashed a slash towards the figure in front of him. But who would have thought that this slash, which was powerful enough to kill a heavenly core warrior, would suddenly deviate from its path and slash towards the left? But the bright light from his core energy allowed him to clearly see what that figure was. A human? How could it be a human? Chui Linjiang was shocked. He saw that the figure in front of him was actually a human. Furthermore, it was a woman, a white-haired woman. In the next moment, he saw a white light flash in front of him. After that, he felt a cold sensation on his neck. Chui Linjiang's head was separated from his body, and his body fell onto the back of the rock. The rock let out a shrill cry and ran away in a panic. When Chui Linjiang's consciousness was fading away, there was still a question in his mind. Who is this white-haired woman? At the same time, when Chui Linjiang died, the Myriad Pavilion Master in Yangling City also received a message. After he finished reading the message, his entire body went limp on the ground. Chapter 324. Instant Kill. The pavilion chief of the Myriad Pavilion personally sent a message. It must be something very important. The message stated that the pavilion chief of the Myriad Pavilion should immediately lead his men and occupy the mayor's mansion, because the mayor of Sun Hill City, Chui Linjiang, was dead. Gulp. The pavilion chief of the Myriad Pavilion swallowed a mouthful of saliva. It was as if he knew something, but he only paused for a second, then immediately left the mansion. The next day, all the Myriad Pavilions in the Central Province received the same message. The mayor of Sun Hill City had died, and in half a month, the mayor's battle for the position of mayor would begin. The entire Central Province was shaken. Previously, in Guangjin City, the mayor of Lai Sky City had died in an accident. Now, even a mayor of one of the upper three cities was dead. What was going on? At the same time, Yixian, who was in Guangjin City, had also received the news from Songhong. Fuck, what happened to that Chui Linjiang? Daddy hasn't done anything yet. Why did you die yourself? Yixian couldn't help but curse out loud. Chui Linjiang was the mayor of one of the upper three cities, and he was the mayor of one of the lower three cities. Under normal circumstances, Chui Linjiang wasn't allowed to attack him. But he could take the initiative to attack Chui Linjiang. But who would have thought that Chui Linjiang would die before he could attack? What was going on? Fine, since Chui Linjiang is dead, I'm sure the other two main cities are interested in Sun Hill City as well. When the time comes, I'll kill them as well then. With this thought in mind, Yixian couldn't help but smile. It looked like 5 of the 7 main cities in the Central Province would fall into his hands. At that time, he would gather all the territories in the 5 main cities to purchase materials, and breaking through to the late Heavenly Core realm would only be a matter of time. During this half a month, the Central Province was extremely peaceful. After learning from what happened on the Island of Death, there were only 2 men who came to participate in the battle for the mayor's position. One was the mayor of Wild Goose City, Su Ji, and the other was the mayor of Bamboo Thriving City, Mo Jinyuan. Both of them were late Heavenly Core warriors. When Yixian heard the news, a cunning expression appeared on his face. Sure enough, the mayor of these 2 main cities couldn't sit still. Half a month later, Yixian arrived at the first main city on time. This time, because there were not many people participating in the battle for the position of City Lord, it was changed to an arena battle. The arena was right outside the first main city's City Lord Manor. Today, countless people flooded into the number 1 main city. 3 City Lords fighting over Sun Hill City was something that had never happened before. Most of them were actually here to meet one person, and that was Yixian. The news of Yixian's battle with the Saint Beast, the Azure Sea Flood Dragon, had already spread throughout the entire central continent. Therefore, today, these people were all here to see if Yixian was as powerful as the rumors said. At this moment, outside the City Lord Manor, Yixian was already standing below the arena. Song Sui-jing and Judge Song were still in seclusion, so he came alone. Su Ji and Mo Jingyuan were already waiting in the other two corners of the arena. When the time was up, Kai Yang immediately appeared and landed in the middle of the stage. I think everyone is clear that today is the battle for the position of City Lord of Sun Hill City. However, there are only 3 people participating in this battle, so one person will have a bye. Kai Yang stood in the middle of the arena and spoke. But at this moment, someone suddenly jumped into the arena. Everyone's attention shifted to this person. City Lord Yang, there's no need to go through so much trouble. Let me fight the 2 of them alone. It's much simpler. The person who came up to the stage and spouted nonsense was naturally Yixian. As soon as he appeared, he immediately became the center of attention. Crazy enough. There were already many girls screaming outside the arena. They heard that Yixian only had one fiancé, and they felt that a powerhouse like Yixian would have no problem marrying 8 or 10 of them back home. Therefore, these girls were all here to familiarize themselves with Yixian. Who knows, when Yixian inadvertently glanced at them, he might take a fancy to one of them. However, when Su Ji and Mo Jingyuan heard this, they also jumped into the arena angrily. Arrogant brat, let me see if you're as strong as the rumors say. That's right. Since you asked for it, I'll fulfill your wish. The 2 hypocritical city lords went up to the arena. Anyway, this was Yixian's request, so what was wrong with him agreeing? After all, this was related to a main city's territory. No, it was related to 3. If Yixian were to die in this arena battle, then his Guangjin city and Kongqing city would become ownerless cities. Although Su Ji and Mo Jingyuan didn't have anything to say, after they looked at each other, they came to the same decision at the same time. Kill Yixian, then determine the winner and loser. It would be best to kill the other party as well. Kai Yang had seen Yixian's strength before, and he didn't just hear about it. So, he immediately nodded and said, "Okay, since City Lord Yi said so, how can I not agree? In the next battle, City Lord Yi will fight City Lord Su and City Lord Mo at the same time. If City Lord Yi wins, then City Lord Yi will obtain Sun Hill City. If City Lord Yi loses, then City Lord Su and City Lord Mo will fight it out. In this arena battle, if you fall out of the arena, you will lose. There are no restrictions on life or death. Other than that, there are no other rules." After Kai Yang finished speaking, he directly jumped out. He looked at the 3 people in the arena and continued, "If you're ready, then you can begin." Hearing this, Su Ji and Mo Jingyuan also looked at each other and took out a long sword one after another. Then, they rushed towards Yixian. The arena wasn't very big, only 200 meters, but the material was not ordinary. It could withstand the 3 people's torment. Yixian looked at the 2 people rushing towards him, one on the left and one on the right. He also took out his 8 desolate sword unhurriedly. Kacha, the 8 desolate sword shattered, turning into 8 sharp blades that pierced through the air. For a master of this level, a distance of 200 meters was a matter of the blink of an eye. After Yixian broke through, the range of the 8 desolate windslaughter array was expanded to 100 meters. He stood quietly in place. He didn't separate the 8 blades, but directly controlled them to attack the same person. This person was Fallen Goose City's city lord, Su Ji. So fast, just as Su Ji reacted, the 8 blades had already swept in front of him. Then, in an instant, his neck was cut off. Before he died, there was only one question in his mind. Why me? Su Ji's death happened in an instant. Mo Jingyuan didn't have time to react. He was rushing towards Yixian. However, just as he rushed in front of Yixian, he felt a chill on his neck. It turned out that after the 8 blades killed Su Ji, they had turned back and killed him as well. This scene happened in just half a second. The audience outside the arena didn't see it clearly. When they reacted, they saw 2 pools of blood on the arena and 2 headless corpses. Instant kill. Yixian had just killed 2 late Heavenly Core warriors in an instant. Chapter 325. The Saint Beast attacks. I'm still not familiar with the 8 desolate wind killing array. I can only kill one person before returning. Yixian said helplessly. During this period of time, he had been constantly improving, but he still couldn't split the 8 blades into 8 parts and attack 8 enemies. City Lord Yi wins. Below the arena, Xianxia was stunned for a moment, then announced. Upon hearing this, Yixian couldn't help but reveal a victorious smile. Since Su Ji and Mo Jinyuan were both killed by him, then Wild Goose City and Wild Goose City should belong to him. Bang! The people outside the arena also reacted. Countless people were screaming and cheering. Yixian's strength had shocked everyone. Xianxia let out a wry smile and jumped onto the arena. Soon after, the people outside the arena quieted down. Ladies and gentlemen, now that City Lord Su and City Lord Mo are dead, their main cities will now belong to City Lord Yi. Xianxia said generously. He didn't have any interest in these main cities. After all, every city had its own myriad pavilion. Even if Yixian took all 6 main cities in the Central Province, he would still be the number 2 man in the Central Province. After hearing Xianxia's words, the crowd cheered again. Yixian alone had 5 main cities. This had never happened before in the history of the Central Province. As for Yixian, he was also immersed in his own fantasy. It looked like breaking through to the late heavenly core realm was just around the corner. However, right at this exciting moment, a man suddenly jumped onto the arena and landed next to Xianxia, then whispered something in his ear. After that, Xianxia's expression changed. What happened? What happened? City Lord Yang's expression doesn't look so good. It must be something bad. The onlookers were all guessing. Yixian was also curious. What could have happened that made Xianxia, who was in the strength realm, look like he had eaten a durian? Yixian, come with me. After Xianxia said that, he immediately called his mount, the Blue Moon Bird, and jumped onto it. Yixian was very surprised. After putting away Su Ji and Mo Jinyuan's universe rings, he followed Xianxia. Hearing Xianxia's order, the Blue Moon Bird flew towards the north. Everyone below the arena looked at each other in confusion, not understanding what was going on. City Lord Yang, what happened? On the back of the Blue Moon Bird, Yixian couldn't help but ask. Hearing this, Xianxia paused for a moment before replying. That azure sea serpent dragon suddenly swam to heavenly water continent and is wreaking havoc. What? Yixian's sea flood dragon? Was it coming for revenge? Yang Lord Yang was with the blue wind? Is with the heavens god, continent. I must have angered it before. Yixian said guiltily. The island of death was in the sea to the north of the heavenly water continent. Previously, they had ridden the Blue Moon Bird to cross the hundreds of empires in the northern region. It's not that simple this time. This sea dragon brought another sea dragon with it. Xianxia shook his head. Another sea dragon? Is it also a saint beast? Yixian was shocked. Yes, it's a golden black sea dragon. Its defensive power is stronger than the sea dragons. I'm afraid I can't deal with both of them alone, so I can only ask for your help, Xianxia said solemnly. Yixian was also helpless. He hadn't broken through yet, so he was afraid he couldn't deal with the sea dragon. Then, was this information revealed by the first city lord? Yixian asked curiously. Yes, the city lord told me. Now that the 2 sea dragons have crossed half of the northern territory, we will meet them soon. Xianxia nodded. Then why doesn't the first city lord do it himself? Yixian asked again. Xianxia shook his head. I'm not very sure. The city lord is too mysterious. Even I haven't seen him before. He knows everything about the heavenly water continent. Every city has his doppelganger, which is a puppet, but no one knows where his real body is. So mysterious. Yixian couldn't help but feel curious about this mysterious first city lord. All right, I'm afraid we'll meet those 2 sea dragons soon. That golden black sea dragon has a strong defensive power. You hold it back for now. I'll go and deal with the sea dragon. Once I'm done, I'll give you one of its corpses. Saint beasts have saint beast souls in their bodies, and it's very helpful for breaking through to the spirit realm from the late heavenly core realm. If you can get it, you'll be able to save a lot of time in your cultivation. Xianxia said. Saint beast's soul? Yixian's eyes lit up. Perhaps he could break through to the late heavenly core realm ahead of time. They flew for a while. All right, we're about to meet them. Get ready to fight. Right after Xianxia's words left his mouth, a loud rumbling sound came from the horizon. Two Saint Beast flood dragons had finally appeared. One was the CC dragon that Yi Xian fought before, and the other was a flood dragon with a golden armor. When the two flood dragons saw Yi Xian and Xianxia, they immediately let out a roar and charged towards them. Go! Xianxia let out a shout and jumped off the blue moon bird, landing on the ground in an instant. Yi Xian followed closely behind him and jumped off the blue moon bird. The original plan was to let Yi Xian stall the golden black flood dragon, while Xianxia dealt with the CC dragon. After that, they would slowly kill the golden black flood dragon. After that, Xianxia would let Yi Xian choose a corpse. For the Saint Beast soul, let's fight. Yi Xian summoned his 8 desolate sword and charged towards the golden black flood dragon. The CC dragon had long been annoyed by Xianxia, so it waved its dragon claws and attacked. When they were in the sky, just now, Yi Xian saw that this golden black flood dragon's speed was about the same as the CC dragon's. Furthermore, he was stronger than he was half a month ago, so it wouldn't be a problem for him to stall the CC dragon, as long as he could maintain his aggro. The two sides exchanged blows in an instant. Yi Xian began to dodge the golden black flood dragon's attacks with all his might, occasionally turning his head to take a look. Xianxia was a strength realm master and had the strength of one dragon, while the CC dragon was a saint beast and also had the strength of one dragon. However, Xianxia was a human after all, so he was much more agile than a saint beast. Every punch he threw was enough to cause the CC dragon great pain. Amazing, he can beat back the CC dragon with a single punch. If I break through to the strength realm and integrate with the Beast King's bloodline, I wonder how strong I will be. Yi Xian was very envious, but he was still 2 realms away from the strength realm, so he had to deal with these 2 flood dragons first. Although Xianxia was a strength realm master, he didn't have a good weapon. If he used a high-rank earth artifact to attack, it would probably break after a few stabs, so Xianxia had been using his fists. The 8 desolate sword in Yi Xian's hand would improve with the wielder's realm, so he really wanted to lend it to Xianxia. He estimated that if Xianxia held the 8 desolate sword, it would be equivalent to holding a heaven artifact. At that time, it would be much easier to kill the CC dragon. Chapter 326. Great Elder, pung, pung, pung. In the distance, Xianxia was fighting the blue sea dragon. The golden sea dragon had been successfully enraged by Yi Xian. It roared at the sky and kept waving its claws in an attempt to grab Yi Xian. However, Yi Xian was as agile as a loach. It couldn't catch him. Roar. At that moment, the golden sea dragon roared loudly. It abandoned Yi Xian and rushed toward Xianxia. Not good. Yi Xian's face sank. His aggro had decreased. It would be too dangerous if the golden sea dragon and the blue sea dragon joined forces. Thinking of this, Yi Xian hurriedly chased after him. His mission was to stall the dark gold flood dragon. If he allowed the dark gold flood dragon to meet up with the azure sea flood dragon, then he would have failed in his duty. If you want to go over, you'll have to get through me first. Yi Xian suddenly leaped high. The 8 desolate sword instantly shattered and turned into a sharp awl that pierced toward the golden sea dragon's eyes. Clang. The golden sea dragon closed its eyes. The heavenly sword drilled into its eyelids. Kuhu. It clawed at the air, but it still missed. This was just a delaying tactic. If the golden sea dragon wanted to help the blue sea dragon, Yi Xian definitely couldn't do anything about it. However, the golden sea dragon was determined to help. Yi Xian really couldn't do anything about it. City Lord Yang, be careful. Yi Xian hurriedly shouted. In the distance, Xianxia instantly understood when he heard the rumbling sound approaching him. His face was extremely gloomy. If the 2 sea dragons joined forces, he was afraid that he would have to retreat. However, the first city lord had asked him to deal with these 2 sea dragons. If he didn't stop them, the central state would be in danger. What should I do? Xianxia was thinking quickly, but he couldn't think of a solution. So, he could only try to kill the blue sea dragon with the 2 sea dragons joining forces. Although it was dangerous, it was the only way. Yixian was also helpless. He had been invited to help, but now he was screwed in less than half a minute. He was now wondering if he should lend the 8 desolate sword to Yang Kai. However, just as the two serpents were about to work together, a streak of white light suddenly flashed past. It swept past the golden-black serpent's head, and the oceanic serpent dragon did the same. Yixian and Yang Kai were stunned for a moment. Then they watched as the heads of the 2 flood dragons ruthlessly smashed onto the floor. Z. The head was instantly chopped off, and dragon blood spurted out. Yixian's eyes widened. He hurriedly took out a bottle to collect some of the flood dragon's blood. He took both the Azure Sea flood dragon blood and the dark gold flood dragon blood. City Lord. At this time, Kai Yang suddenly shouted in shock. Yixian also subconsciously turned his head and saw a figure standing in the air. A spirit realm expert. However, because this person was in a position where the sun was behind him, even Yixian could not see his face clearly. The first city lord is actually a spirit realm expert? Heavens! Yixian was shocked. He had only seen one spirit realm expert before, and that was the middle-aged man who turned the injured wyvern into ashes in the Great Tang Dynasty. The other one was the first city lord. Of course, these two people could be the same person. The figure in the sky began to slowly descend. Yixian and Kai Yang's attention was focused on him. However, when the figure descended to 100 meters away from them, the two of them saw his face clearly. A woman? Kai Yang was shocked. Yixian also cried out in surprise because he was very familiar with this woman. Great Elder, that's right, the woman who stood in the air and killed the oceanic serpent dragon and the dark gold flood dragon was the Great Elder of Soaring Heaven Mansion, Lin Wenyue. Yixian never would have thought that Lin Wenyue was actually a spirit realm expert. The latter had so many wyverns flying around her. At this moment, Yixian was stunned. He didn't count the number of wyverns. Lin Wenyue slowly descended from the sky. She looked at Yixian and lightly said, "Collect the corpses." Oh. When Yixian heard this, he swallowed a mouthful of saliva. He then happily collected the corpses of the oceanic serpent dragon and the dark gold flood dragon. These were the benefits given to him by the Great Elder. He was really surprised and happy. He never thought that the Soaring Heaven Mansion, which didn't even have a heavenly core warrior, would actually have a spirit realm expert living in seclusion. This was simply unbelievable. Kai Yang was already a spirit realm expert. He naturally understood the difference between the spirit realm and spirit realm. He timidly looked at Lin Wenyue and said, "Greetings, City Lord." Lin Wenyue looked at him and said, "You can go back first." Yes. Kai Yang didn't dare to have any objections. He immediately summoned the Blue Moon Bird and left. At this moment, Yixian had also collected the 2 flood dragon corpses. He jogged over to Lin Wenyue and said in shock, "Great Elder, I know you have a lot of questions, but I can tell you this first. My current realm was forcefully raised by your father." Lin Wenyue said directly. "Father?" Yixian was shocked once again. Forcefully raised her realm to the spirit realm? What realm was Yichong at? All right, let's go back to the Soaring Heaven Mansion. Lin Wenyue took a step forward and grabbed onto Yixian's shoulder. Then, she soared into the sky and flew towards the Soaring Heaven Mansion. Yixian was scared half to death. He could only feel a strong wind blowing in front of him. It was so strong that it almost broke his bones. The strong wind was so strong that he couldn't even open his eyes. But he knew that the speed at which Lin Wenyue was carrying him was much faster than Kai Yang's speed on land. And by the time he reacted, he had already returned to the bamboo forest of the Soaring Heaven Mansion. Damn, it took less than 10 minutes to fly from the Northern Territory to the Soaring Heaven Mansion in the Eastern Territory. Am I sitting on a rocket? Yixian was already shocked. This speed was too fast. Lin Wenyue directly landed in front of the wooden house with Yixian. There was still an illusion array in the bamboo forest. Yixian could only see the countless orange-red bamboos. Yixian looked at Lin Wenyue sitting on the stone bench and asked in surprise, "Great Elder, what's going on?" I'll explain it simply. I wasn't originally the city lord of the #1 main city in the central state, but Senior Shintu Lai left the heavenly water continent with your father, so I took over his position. After Lin Wenyue finished speaking, she took out a round mirror and said, "This is the myriad mirror left behind by that senior. As long as it's something that happens in the central state, I can see it through this mirror." When she finished speaking, an image appeared in the round mirror. Two people appeared in the mirror. One was Song Sui Jing, and the other was Adjudicator Song. They were cultivating in seclusion. This, Yi Xian was stunned. No wonder the myriad pavilion was omniscient. It turned out that this was the case. Chapter 327. Chapter 327. Chapter 327 Subterranean Palace. There is a huge formation under the heavenly water continent, and this mirror of all things is the foundation of the formation, so I can understand everything through it. At the same time, it can help me predict some things, such as the invasion of the heavenly water continent by the two flood dragons. Lin Wenyue explained. I see. Yi Xian nodded slightly. This simple introduction had solved many of his doubts. No wonder Lin Wenyue didn't leave the bamboo forest for so many years. It was because she needed to take care of the entire heavenly water continent. It seemed that Chui Linjiang had not violated any rules back in the Heavenly Yuan sect, but because Lin Wenyue saw that he was in trouble, she asked Chui Linjiang to help. Then, Grand Elder, your appearance this time is because Yi Xian asked curiously. Lin Wenyue slowly said, "Your father has already left the heavenly water continent. Previously, I said that once you break through to the spirit stage 4, I will tell you the method to leave the heavenly water continent. You're only at the early heavenly core realm, but you already have the ability to fight with a saint beast. Therefore, I think if you break through again, you'll be able to kill a saint beast with the strength of one dragon. So you're saying that I can leave the heavenly water continent without breaking through to the 4th spirit stage?" Yi Xian said in astonishment. Realm does not represent strength. If you make another breakthrough, you will have the ability to pass through the deep sea underground palace and head to the Blood Cliff continent, Lin Wenyue said. Deep sea palace. This was the first time Yi Xian had heard of this term. What kind of place is the deep sea underground palace? Can't you ride a Xian beast and fly to the Blood Cliff continent? Yi Xian asked again. Previously, he had wanted to do this, but at that time his strength was too weak. Moreover, he did not know where the Blood Rock continent was, so he did not try. Between the heavenly water continent and the Bloodstone continent is the chaotic astral ocean. Even a spirit stage powerhouse would die if they recklessly enter it. If the heavenly water continent wants to go to the Bloodstone continent, we have to pass through this deep sea underground palace. Furthermore, this deep sea underground palace is the most dangerous place in the heavenly water continent. There are plenty of sacred beasts inside. That's why I asked you to look for me after you break through to the 4th stage of the spirit stage. Lin Wenyue explained. Deep sea underground palace, Yi Xian said, Lin Wenyue, the heavenly water continent. Lin Wenyue nodded. That's right, but it was your father who brought that senior through. That senior once tried it himself, but he didn't succeed and was forced to retreat. At that time, he already had the strength of 2 dragons. 2 dragons' dragon strength. Yi Xian swallowed a mouthful of saliva. As far as he knew, Yangkai only possessed the strength of 1 dragon and had just broken through to the strength realm. Yang, S is Yang Yang, Yang, Yang Yang Yang's too. If even such a mighty warrior couldn't pass the test, how was he going to do it when he was an early heavenly core warrior? Lin Yi Xianzizizizis, Yang's Yang? Yang, he's He Yang, He Yang Yang, or even Yezizis, was. The first stage of the spirit stage is the gravity realm. The second stage is the aura realm. The third stage is the essence realm. And the 4th stage is the spirit realm. According to what I know, your father was already at the spirit realm. Lin Wenyue had a strange expression on her face. That's impossible. How could the heavenly water continent give birth to a spirit realm warrior? Yi Xian said in disbelief. In the center of the heavenly water continent, the central province, there are only a few peak heavenly core warriors. After breaking through to the peak heavenly core realm, one would enter the strength realm, then the spirit realm, then the soul essence realm, and finally the divine soul realm. How could there be such a huge gap between the two realms? I'm not too sure either. Before you were born, your father had already passed through the deep sea underground palace. After you were born, he returned. I heard that he was severely injured and his strength had regressed. He spent a few years to recover and return to his peak. After that, he left with that senior. Lin Wenyue shook her head. Yixian tried to sort out the story by himself. When Yicheng returned from the Bloodstone continent with him as a baby, he met the previous first city lord. After that, this senior asked Yicheng to take him away from the Heavenly Water continent. But Yicheng was severely injured at that time, so he needed a few years to recover. As for why Yicheng was so strong, perhaps it was because he had encountered some kind of opportunity. If that's the case, then my mother should be from the Bloodstone continent. Yixian thought for a moment. Then a figure suddenly flashed through his mind. He asked again, then, Great Elder, do you know who the senior who saved me in the Tang dynasty was? Lin Wenyue shook her head helplessly when she heard this. I've tried to investigate that person, but the myriad mirror didn't show anything. This means that he isn't a native of the Heavenly Water continent. He must have passed through the deep sea underground palace from the Bloodstone continent. Also, according to that person's skills, he should be at least a spirit realm warrior. Spirit realm. Yixian rolled his eyes. The Heavenly Water continent was such a remote place, and there were actually 2 spirit realm warriors. This was unbelievable, but he also understood that the middle-aged man must have known Yicheng. If not, he wouldn't have come to such a remote place like the Heavenly Water continent. Yixian thought for a moment, then he asked again, then, what should I do now? Break through, then go to the deep sea underground palace. Although you might not be able to pass through it in one go, you can still gain some experience. With your talent, it shouldn't be difficult for you to pass through it. Lin Wenyue said with a firm look in her eyes. Yixian paused for a moment. He was currently at the minor heavenly core realm, and if he devoured the 2 flood dragon corpses, he might be able to break through to the late heavenly core realm. But he knew that he wasn't far from the deep sea underground palace. Then, Great Sect Elder, do you have any heaven-rank martial arts here? Yixian tried to ask. No, there might be some in the deep sea underground palace. There's a formation in the deep sea underground palace that prevents me from entering, and it seems like it was built by a soul essence realm warrior. Only those who are at the soul essence realm or below can enter. Lin Wenyue shook her head. He had only learned a high-ranked earth rank martial art. All right, Yixian felt helpless. There must be a lot of good things in the deep sea underground palace, and if Lin Wenyue could enter, then he would be rich. You can continue to improve your cultivation. Come find me when you want to enter the deep sea underground palace. Also, your fiancée and her brother have a very special physique. I think they will be able to break through to the late heavenly core realm soon. At that time, both of you can enter the deep sea underground palace together. After Lin Wenyue finished speaking, she waved her hand. After that, the scenery in front of Yixian instantly changed, and he appeared at the entrance of a bamboo forest. Damn, even if you don't have a heaven-rank martial art, you can at least give me some soul-congealing stones.